Hello everyone, welcome back to the Erasmus Expeditions. We are one player down. Once he joins us, which hopefully will be very, very soon, we'll just kind of add him and juggle cameras around and shit like that whenever we have to. Oh, by the way, this is an adult game for adults. We are all children, but we have permission slips that have been signed by our parents. So it's okay for us. But if you are a child watching this, or you have children around you, or if bad language bothers you, or mature subject matter is a trouble, go away. I love you, but go away. This is not the channel nor the game for you, my friend. So now that that is out there, I stalled long enough. I'm very, very excited to welcome everyone back for session number 15 of Momentum, the Whispers and Fragments campaign that we've been playing here. This episode will be titled Blackjaws, and I'm incredibly excited to welcome our new player, who you can't currently see because the camera just threw him out of frame, but we'll fix that in just a moment. I'm going to pass things over to my players so that they can do their introductions, say their hellos and all that kind of stuff, and remind you to wash your fucking hands. And then we'll get this sorted out and we'll get the ball rolling. So we will start with people that you can actually see currently. Jake.
Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and that's where you can find me when I'm not hanging out here. We play Dungeons and Dragons 4 to 6 times a week. And one of our flagship games is on Thursday nights, where you can find Jeremy there with us. In fact, he'll be there tomorrow night taking us through a Harbinger one shot. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. You're gonna want to be sure to tune in for that. I also do crafting tutorials. I have a new D&D streaming tutorial up on the YouTube channel as well. And I'm playing Katvrad.
Excellent. Yes, I'm very excited about that game as well. I get two pretty awesome, stellar games to run back to back. I'm very excited. Next up we have Alan.
Hello, everybody. My name is Alan, and you can find me on social media at CFT RPG, YouTube channel there. Friday nights run a Curse of Straw D&D game over on the Mini Terrain Domain Twitch channel. So we are back this Friday. So make sure to join us there. And if you want to get caught up, then you can go and catch the VOD over on the YouTube channel. Outside of that, I am playing Irashara, who is in this world Momentum, and I with everything going on, I am really excited just to gather with some friends, roll some dice, and have a good time. So thank you, Jeremy, as always for running this campaign for us.
It is honestly my pleasure. I only run 2 campaigns right now. Both of them are here on the channel, and they're both fantastic. You guys knock it out of the park every time that you sit down to play, and I couldn't have picked 10 better players in these 2 different campaigns. It's just a joy. So the emotional wreck that comes from this game is always strangely cathartic. So I think maybe we'll start getting into that here in just a second. All right, next up we have Austin.
Hi, I'm Austin. I'm playing Bastarad. Again, still no social media to speak of. I mean, I guess you could try to find me on social media and see me like yelling about politics or something, but don't. Yeah. Anyway, excited to play with all you guys. So it was a long day at work today. Anyway, yeah. I never have anything interesting to add to these because I have nothing to plug and I don't play in any other games, and so excited to be here.
Austin, you're just interesting enough by yourself, is the truth. That's just what it is, sir. No, man, I'm glad to have you back. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the downfall, or not the downfall, the loss of Ingvarad is going to impact everybody in the group, but especially characters like Katya and Bastarad. I think it's going to be really interesting to watch play out. All right, next up we have Tim. Actually, no, Tim, let's do you last, because you're the new guy. Jeff, you're up.
Yes, hello. I'm Jeff. If you want to find out stuff that I do, you can find me at Tabletop Terrors on YouTube. I do videos along with our new companion here, who will introduce himself shortly. Yeah, we just do a bunch of tabletop videos talking about different topics and stuff. It's pretty cool, so check that out if you want to. And I am playing Darian, a roguish person trying to find a better path. Be interesting to see how recent events have impacted that. But yeah, looking forward to getting into things.
Hell yeah. Always good to have you, Jeff. And not that long ago that I got to sit down and chat with you on Tuesday. So, good to see you again. Okay, last but certainly not least, and one of the reasons I wanted to have you go last, Tim, was because a massive congratulations to you guys. Jeff as well, for the release of your new book, which I will let you talk about as you're doing your intro and whatnot. Anybody who has mentioned a channel, you should be able to find the link to that in the description of this video down below. Please do go check them out. They all do fantastic projects on their own. Even Austin, he doesn't have a channel where you can follow him, but he does awesome stuff, trust me. So Tim, welcome to the game, man.
Thank you. It's incredible to be here. I am definitely a fan of the campaign, and as you know, as Jeff mentioned, I'm 1/3 of Tabletop Terrors. And if you haven't checked us out in a while, Jeff really churches it up and makes sure that we don't just ramble. There's actual details in there that you can use that are gameable, and so check that out. And then yes, the book that we've been working on for 2 years has finally been released in its first form. It is A Dead Man's Guide to Dragongrin. I'm beyond proud because it is everything I wanted it to be and then more, because of some awesome people like Jeff who were able to work on it. Chris Wilhelm, Lloyd Collins, and then of course the AbTab guys as well. So really proud of it. If you don't know what it is, check out absolutetabletop.com. And what we will be doing, and we haven't said this anywhere else, so I'll say it here first on your channel. We're going to be releasing a free 72-page character creation guide that is going to have all of the heritages, all of the cultures, the world primer, and the map. And we designed a new cover for it, and that is going to probably be premiering sometime this week, so that people can play in Dragongrin without spending a dime if they want to try the heritages and culture. So it's and that's an entirely new system that replaces the race and sub-race in D&D. And so we're really excited about that. So keep an eye out in the Absolute Tabletop Facebook group this week for that free, fat, chunkin' character creation guide.
That is such an amazing thing. Not only is it great to be able to have something free like that as a gamer, but then hopefully when they play it, they go, hey, this is awesome. I'm going to buy that big-ass book. Yeah, that's brilliant, man.
And that's it. And it stemmed from, I had more than 3 people message me and say, hey, I have people who didn't back the book who want to play in a campaign. Can I share some stuff with them? And the first couple times we were like, yeah. And then by the third time, it was like, well, no, if there's enough people who say, yeah, we really want to play in your world, that's why we wrote the book. That's why we wrote the book. So let's just give it to them and say, hey, if you want all the bells and whistles and stuff, yeah, you're going to have to pay an entry fee. But if you want to just make some cool characters in Dragongrin, here, knock yourself out and run it. So
it's really just an amazing idea. So thank you guys for doing that. And again, very excited to get you into this campaign. Having Lloyd step away is going to sting. He was a very, very good player, and his character was very integral into what's going on. But I'm really excited, like I said, to kind of see what is going to happen in the void left by Ingvarad. I think that's going to have a lot of really great role-playing impact on the group. So I'm excited. Even though we don't have Lloyd as a player anymore, I am super stoked to have you step into those shoes and take up that mantle. So, all right. Enough gushing. And is there any questions that you guys have before we get started here?
I did have one sort of thing I was just going to tell the other players because I haven't had a chance
Sure.
to play it, which is I'm familiar with the high concept of what's been going on, but Jeremy and I had a discussion that would actually make more sense that I wouldn't know the intricate details. So I really don't know what's happening. I didn't watch the last episode. And so if you hear me ask questions or those kinds of things, it's not just role playing. I thought it would actually be more realistic if I was asking questions like, well, who's that and what happened? So I know what's going on in the world, but I don't know what's going on with your group because I thought that would be more interesting.
That's totally cool. Even the rest of you who have been playing this entire time, if you don't remember something, don't ever be afraid to ask. Like, that is not a problem at all at my table. Cool. I did want to warn the audience as well. I already warned you guys as players. I do have a new toy. I'm really hoping to get the chance to use it this evening. I have practiced with it, I promise, but just not while actually streaming. So if you're not new here, you understand. Like, shit happens. So just be prepared. Be prepared. All right. I got some art for you guys. I know, you're shocked. At what point does regret tip the scales towards redemption? Is it when the burden of guilt weighs so heavily upon the perpetrator that they are called to act in an attempt to quiet that same gnawing? Is a recompense truly a healing for the wronged, or is it a salve for the aggravator's soul? Though merely a summer's winter, it has grown quite cold in the absence of the sun. Especially now, out here away from civilization. What do we see the four of you doing as we witness the shadow of your vessel passing over the reflective surface of the deep black ocean beneath? Any four of you can answer this question, by the way. No right order. But not all at once.
I think Katvrad is sequestered in. By now, she's sort of built this area on deck where she's rearranged a few things so that in her smaller form she can sort of hide in plain sight. Just sort of a little I can't think of the word, cubby hole, cozy spot. So as you're seeing this dark shadow of ship fly over in against the night sky, you'd have to be fairly close, like on deck, but you see these little just sort of flare of light, another flare of light. And as you sort of pan over the deck and see where this light source is, Katvarad is huddled in this little hideaway and is summoning weapon after weapon as she's done for so long. But as she summons it, you see a sword, a scimitar, and this dim light appears, this blade completely shrouded in shadow, as if the sun or the moon in this light, as if the moon was trying to peer out from behind dark clouds. And she gets this scowl on her face and then she dismisses it. She waits about 10-15 seconds and summons a dagger. Same thing. And she's like trying to push away the shadow. And she's just practicing with this, trying to get more light to emanate. As in the back of her mind, she's just, and maybe even mutters it. No, I promised Ingvarat. I promised her.
Bassarat is sitting on the deck of the ship, and he's got a number of Ingvarad's things. Like he's kind of collected up her remaining possessions on board, and he's just sort of sitting on a barrel with a one of her, like the fancier dress that was like made for her in Arinivat. He's just holding on to that, kind of looking at it and peering out into the dark, but not really speaking to anyone or doing anything.
I imagine Darian has kept a pretty steady pace at the helm of the ship, making sure that it's on course, on track. Not out of necessarily even out of goodness or attempt at navigation, but just to like keep his mind on any sort of task that he can do, so that he doesn't have to think about what happened right now, and will basically probably do like much more work than necessary, like around the ship. Like he doesn't have to move that net in just that way, but he's gonna go do it right now, just so he has something to keep his hands busy. And if he can keep his hands busy, his mind is less busy. Just like finding whatever he can do, so that he can like have a job to do, even if it's ridiculous, even if it's absurd or unnecessary. He'll do anything. He'll probably even wind up like cleaning and like washing down parts of the deck, as he keeps the ship on course, just to make sure that he has something occupying himself at all times, especially for the night while other people are kind of off doing their own thing.
Haroon would be below in the living quarters, and in his footlocker, by his footlocker we can see like his shield and his warhammer that's there. But he opens up the footlocker and he pulls out just a couple of items, and one of them being just this big wrapped item, and he kind of lays it out on the bed of of his room. And as he unfurls it, there is his Kalandari sword, which this whole time he's had the scabbard at his side, but no sword in it, as he had sworn it off long ago as part of his redemption when he met Ingvarad. He looks over it. It gleams in the light. He hefts it, feels its weight. It calls back out to him just the amount of blood that this sword has spilt. When last I held this sword, I had shed blood in a cause that was... but now I will wield it for a just cause. And may it serve me as a path of light in the bowels of hell. And you hear the shh as she sheathes it into the scabbard and begins to ascend back up to the upper decks.
The four of you have continued this journey in the absence of Ingvarad for a few days now. And you are now about a month and a half, give or take, into the long night. And the bite of how cold this place has become has caused you all to kind of bundle as best you can, especially being this high of an altitude and out over the ocean. You have all dealt with this in the best way that you can. But I would imagine that there's kind of a need to finally have something else to do that kind of is starting to grow. It's just another place to be, other people to talk to, something to break the routine. I would like a volunteer out of the 4 of you, please.
Okay, I'll volunteer.
Austin, you volunteered. You gain a level. No, I'm just kidding. You are on deck at some point, and ahead of you, through the darkness of sea and of the long night, you spot the coalesced colored lights of sun jars, the port of Betrayer's Bay. The bay itself was formed in the pelvis of this exiled Colossiah. The wing-like bones forming kind of a natural inlet that protects these waters and the city itself. Comprised of stilt houses and buildings made from the hulls of derelict ships. The city of Betrayer's Bay is the antithesis of Arinivat, a muted gray and brown abscess on a black spit of land.
This place looks like I feel. Darian or Bastard will run to try to find Darian to let him know that we've come to this thing. He's struck by the kind of almost disgusting nature of it. It's kind of profanity of the city itself, and especially after spending so long of a time in a place like Arinivat that just seemed, full of kind of a disgusting kind of beauty. It's just a different kind now. Like it's the same feeling, but in a different way for a different reason. But he'll run to find Darian and let him know that we've reached this place.
I imagine he'd be pretty easy to find. There's only so much space here to begin with, and he's not trying to be conspicuous.
Do we land? This place seems as good as any.
It's definitely not as good as any, but it is a place.
You been here before?
Yes, I have.
I've never traveled this far out this way. Toward the rim.
I won't lie, it's a nasty place. Not just in terms of aesthetic, but its people.
I
Any
wouldn't mind a
thug,
fight right now.
pirate, mess of a person you want to find, this is the place to find them. And they all congregate here, just like I did.
I'm not feeling super friendly myself, so maybe a place where a fight could be had isn't the worst.
Fight will be easy to find, but don't expect them to play nice or play fair. They'll shank you in the back as quick as they'd punch you in the face.
Yeah, I should have known that from the look of this place. Well, I'll just kind of look down, like look off the deck towards it. I see light. We could use a bit of that right now, even if it's coming from a dark place.
And I'll take the company, even if they'll kill me as quick as talk to me. Better than staring at waves all night, he'll say, like realizing that it's just always night.
Yeah, best I will look out. Goddamn waves make me thirsty. And there's nothing to drink on board.
Darian will just kind of like look off towards the light wistfully. I imagine that same sense of like, yeah, anything right now is going to be better than being on the ship.
So do you begin your descent? Excellent. Before you dock in the city of Betrayers Bay, is there anything that the four of you would like to accomplish before you kind of moor off?
Darian will give a quick heads up to the other two, Arun and Kadvarad, just as the sort of place that they're going into. As Jeremy says in the chat, basically like Tortuga, Pirate Bay sort of thing. So stay together, watch out for each other, watch out for yourself. Don't trust anybody who's not us four, that whole spiel, just so they're not surprised by it.
Darren, is there a part of the airship that is small and easy to miss, but integral to the operation and starting of the airship? Because if there is, we should take it with us. If this is the kind of place you say it is, I would like to at least try to disable our ship before we go so that when we come back to the port, it's still here.
Yeah. So Jeremy, I guess out of like Darian would know sort of, is this the sort of place where there's still like pirates honor sort of thing where like people aren't going to take each other's ships even if they mess with each other? Or is that a real risk that he would know? It's like, no, we should definitely do that.
So that would be a pretty brazen act to do here in the dock of Betrayers Bay. But it wouldn't be unheard of, especially some, young and upcoming person who's trying to make a name for themselves. But you also know that you did bring the ship here in part so that it could be outfitted for ocean going as well. So you could basically just sail it straight to a shipyard. And more than likely, it would be very safe in a shipyard. Especially if you paid them well.
Of the many things we don't have, one of the things we do right now is money, so that shouldn't be a problem. So yeah, I think Darian would want to do that then. I figure he would know where one is, even if he doesn't like know the person directly, at least have been to one before.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Okay. So you bring your ship in to, let's call it the planer and the pitch. It's a place that's a little away from the actual dock itself, a little further up the coast. But you sail it to there and are able to set down. There's a small, elevated port that airships can actually dock with. And you kind of bring it down in. And as you're getting things prepared and mooring the ropes and things, cutting out the gangplank, somebody is approaching kind of up the opposite direction. Do you need help?
Darian will walk down as the ship docks and just kind of put a hand up to signal of like, we're just here for business. No reason to be alarmed. He'll put both hands up to show that he doesn't have a weapon out or anything like that.
Put your hands down, you damned fool. You've got a strange looking ship. This is Elven, no?
Something like that. Not the
I see.
original owner.
Of course. She kind of thumbs her nose. So, you looking to dock this ship for how long?
Not just dock. We'd like to have some work done, if such a thing is available.
Well, it depends on what it is you want. This is a shipyard, so What is it you're looking to do?
We need this ship to be able to both fly and sail.
I see. Well, I know someone who can do this work. I can't do it myself. It's not something I've ever done before, but I know someone here on the island. He works for cheap enough. I can hire him for you if you'd like.
Yes, definitely. As long as they know what they're doing and can get it done, it's fine by me.
He knows what he's doing, and trust me, I'm doing you a favor by not having you have to deal with him directly. Okay. Let's see. I'll have to talk to him to see how much he wants to do the work. But for my part of it, leaving the ship here for the time that it's going to take to do it, there's a problem. She kind of shakes her head for a second. Pitch right now is at a premium, I'm afraid. Normally, this would not be that expensive of a task, but the bastards who run this place are squatting over every barrel of the stuff that they still have. Rumor has it, it's simply not flowing the way that it was before. I think this job will be expensive, she kind of says, with kind of the last word hanging on the air.
Give me a figure. We'll see what we can do.
Let's call it 10,000 silver.
And how much do we have? It's still like a lot more than that, right?
You guys...
We're in the 25,000 range, right?
Yeah, I think you had about 25 from the what was on the airship whenever you commandeered it.
Oh, we spent a bit of that in town in Arinivat.
You guys have dipped into it, but I don't
But
think
not
you
that
dipped
much,
into
yeah.
it anywhere near far enough to make that impossible.
Should I not have been tossing silver off the side of the ship while we've been flying?
Come,
Everybody
children!
grieves differently.
Ping, make a wish.
Everybody grieves differently.
Ping.
Wait, the little round coins, they were food pellets, right?
So, Jeremy, this is pretty unorthodox, but I was going to say, I didn't know if you had a specific plan for when and how I would enter.
I do, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
If that's all right with you.
No. That's fantastic. I was just checking.
Okay, yep.
Yep.
We should be getting to that pretty shortly.
Oh, no. What I was going to do is if you didn't, I was going to be... yes, basically come in and negotiate. but I want to stick with what you have because I know you're excellent.
Thank you. You can have level 2.
Oh,
just kidding.
So I guess Darian, having been here plenty of times, would this price seem... obviously, it's higher than normal, I'm guessing, but what kind of premium is this compared to normal?
Well, again, this kind of particular job you've never necessarily had or talked about, being done, but this is a lot of money. This would probably be equivalent to a cruise haul, kind of on an average run to sea.
Yeah, Darian will kind of like bite at the edge of his lip hearing that. And is that number including staying here and the actual work, just to be clear?
Yes.
Okay. But he'll kind of look to the others and just kind of shrug. Like they're on a timeline. They don't really have, and money is probably not going to be that important considering where they're going and what they're about to do. So he'll just look her, or look this person just dead in the eyes and say, 11,000 and you tell no one about us.
Well, my discretion is not usually that expensive, but I'll take it. She extends a hand.
Yeah, Darian will shake it. He just wants to get this over with, get this process started so they can go.
She shakes her head, seeming satisfied. She says, "You need to leave the coin before you depart."
Of course.
Of course. She'll be safe
And
with me.
Darian will, I guess, set himself and the others about to unloading what would probably be, I guess, like many trips worth of silver.
Yeah, probably several different chests, I would imagine. So you managed to do so, and she seems very happy. Very, very pleased with this arrangement. But she goes about kind of making sure that your ship is secured, putting bumps on the side of it and kind of getting it so that it's not floating anymore. We're kind of putting it down on some kind of, basically like chocks that kind of hold it up in place. And then you're able to kind of move into the city of Betrayers Bay proper. You're obviously, you take anything that you wish with you. This place is every bit as much as Tortuga is Tortuga in Pirates of the Caribbean. That's what this place is. There is debauchery and rowdiness everywhere you look. And there are people who are trying to sell things right next to a fist fight. And they're crashing into their wares, and they're basically just, kicking somebody in the sternum to get them away from their stuff, and then turning right back around without missing a beat and trying to sell you this quote-unquote Colossiah bone bracelet. There are the people who offer themselves as entertainment everywhere, of every color, shape, size, gender, and orientation, even of any race you could imagine, all trying to ply their wares as you make your way through the city. What would you like to do as you've arrived?
This is a horrible. Oh, were you gonna go?
Nope. Go ahead.
Sorry, I thought you were taking a breath. This is a horrible place for Bastrad to be in this current state that he's in, because almost everything that could help him self-destruct is ready and available and on offer here. And like how he was kind of dazed by Arinivat's decadence, this place he's just struck and shocked by its debauchery, and he kind of almost seems like first like he's almost getting like a little happier, a little excited at the prospect of having all of this available to him, even though he's fully like, he seems aware that it's not good, and he starts like almost every time he sees like a couple people fighting, he's like kind of moves over into it, like to try to see like what's happening here. Is this just a paid fight? Like he knows not to be completely self-destructed. He wants to find, like, he's looking really for like a good like street like fist fight, like people that are betting on like on just a knockout brawl or just a knockdown brawl or something, nothing like lethal, but he's trying to find where the fight is not gonna kill him and might make him some money if he's able to win it.
So most of these people are so either drunk or high on ether that the fights don't typically even last that long before they're either walking off with their arm around one another, or both of them have passed out, in a trough somewhere, or, at the side of the building in their own vomit. So it's not really an organized thing as of yet, but you get the feeling that if that's the kind of thing you're looking for, if you dig hard enough, you're gonna find it.
Yeah, he's a little disappointed at the current state of all the fights. Like, oh, these are just drunken brawls or stoned idiots. But he's definitely excited by the prospect of getting to do something self-destructive without completely going against what Ingvarad told him, and continuing his drinking behavior.
Darian will be surprisingly in his element, I think, given how much time he sort of spent in this lifestyle. He'll be just kind of, as he's like leading the others towards, I guess, whatever they're looking for, probably some place to like eat and drink for the night, or for this part of the night. And like as he's leading, he'll like just grab somebody, move them out of the way, like knowing they won't be able to do anything about it. Or if they swing a punch, he'll just already be dodging it out of the way and like put somebody else in between them so he hits them instead, and then they start fighting so we can like lead them off in the other direction, or whatever it is. Just kind of like moving deftly through this absolute carnage that's just erupting in all different aspects and ways around them.
I imagine with in the absence of Ingvarad, and Kotvarad likes Bosterad enough, but not enough to hang out with him. I think Kotvarad would gravitate towards the next most morally stable person. And so I think wherever you go and you start to turn around, Haroon, you find that Kotvarad is nearby, not like following at your heels, but just happens to be going the same direction you are, relatively close by, kind of following your lead.
Yeah, and I imagine Haroon kind of just walks down, like wherever he's walking, he's not avoiding anybody. People just would kind of avoid him, kind of move out. And then I think the same aspect as far as let's find some food and drink, and then since our ship is going to be docked for a while, look at getting some sort of lodging situation as well.
So, you guys, with perhaps Darian's guidance, are able to make your way to kind of the most, I guess you would call it, the most reputable inn here in town. And that is a little place called the Harbor Harlot. It's this still pretty raunchy place. But by comparison, there's a lot less thieving and murdering that takes place in there. Largely because they have a set of very large bruisers that hang around and put a very quick end to any of that kind of stuff before it really gets out of hand. So, you make your way there, and you're able to get rooms and meals included for at least the night for 2 silver. No, this would be 2 copper apiece. The barkeep is the kind of pirate that you would expect to be able to run an actual business in a place like this. He's kind of a scary guy himself. And as you enter, he kind of looks at you, studies you for a bit, takes your coin, and arranges for you guys to have rooms and whatnot. And he kind of gives you all another sidelong glance before he says, You travel with a lot of interesting people, he says to you, Darian.
Thanks for a much more interesting life.
So, but you ought to know that a lot of outsiders around here sometimes get the short end of the stick, if you know what I mean.
Bastrad
Yeah,
will cut
luckily
in. Bastrad will cut in, point at his quarterstaff, and say, "I got a stick I can give anyone that wants to raise trouble with us."
You've got a stick. Well, I suppose that's something. Be more afraid of the lad with the size of your biceps there than the stick. But I suppose if you know how to use it, maybe it's dangerous.
I don't think you understand. I'm quite good with the stick.
No offense, friend. No offense. He kind of puts up his hands.
Let's just say we're good at taking care of ourselves. We've done it before with worse people than this.
Fair enough, fair enough. They call me Big Nose, and it ain't because of the size of me, honker. It's because I have a tendency to kind of pry, you know.
Got to keep a good ear out for what's going on.
Nose, mate, not ear.
Things are valuable.
Right. Well, welcome to the Harvard Harlot. And if there's anything I can help you with, just let me know. Yeah, and by the way, you might want to steer clear of the east side of the docks. There's they tend to put the sacrifices down there, and you don't want to be confused for volunteers, if you know what I mean.
It'd certainly be a shame. Thanks for the tip.
Okay, so you're able to get glasses of rum, port, almost anything you can imagine here. This place is a thriving, booming place of business, despite the fact that on this island, there's little more than swamp. You know, Darian, from having been here, that the pitch flows on top of the water that comes from the center of the island, and it's collected here in this port and traded for all kinds of things. This is the only source of pitch in Momentum. So this is a cornerstone of trade, and it's pretty much the only reason why it's been allowed to exist for as long as it has. But because you've been here before, you can tell that while the people in Betrayer's Bay are not ever cheerful or friendly, typically, there's a palpable unrest here, more so than usual. And before long, any one of you that's in the common room of this inn could overhear somebody mentioning that the pitch has stopped flowing from the island's core, from the Colossiahs, known as the Betrayer himself. So, the four of you gathered around a table. What does that conversation look like?
It must be the Throes. They must have done something here too, taken something integral to this place. It's got to be.
Darian will have a drink in hand, probably like his second already at this point, of just whatever. He doesn't even know what he's gotten at this point. But we'll look over. I guess it's possible. Most folks of religious affiliation, even cults, don't much know or care much about the betrayer. So, it'd be surprising, but possible.
We have to be careful. We're not sure how, well, there could be spies. Anyone that you trust here, Darian, that we can get reliable information on.
Darian will just kind of like look around at the sort of people who are here. And it's gonna give you that nod of like, trust is not what gets things done around here. And I'll just kind of do a coin, rubbing 2 coins together, hand motion.
I understand the coin is the language here, but there must be someone that you would suspect that with enough coin, we could rely on them.
It's been a bit since I've been here, more than a bit. I'm not sure who's still around, still alive, or any more or less trustworthy than the last time I left him here. But I'm sure if we need to, we can dig something up. He'd say that with some like measure of hesitance in his voice. People around here definitely have more trust of insiders than outsiders, and at this point, he's not sure which side of that line he's on anymore. I think you'd be able to see that.
And I believe that puts us sorely at a disadvantage. Until we know for sure, we shouldn't go around throwing out the throes of suns.
I agree. It's risky to be tossing around anything that could get us in trouble. Like I said, money talks, and if anyone else is paying, that could be bad for us. There is someone we could try to find if we have to. Not necessarily trustworthy, but I know him, and that puts him a step above most things. It's the best we get around here.
Well, it looks as though we have exhausted all other options, so best begin there, I suppose.
Yeah, Darren will kind of grit his teeth. Clearly, the person he has suggested namelessly so far is not someone that he wants to see. But he'll just kind of nod anyways. In the meantime, we should eat and drink and sleep while we can. Going to see anyone or do anything around here is a risk. We might as well take a moment of comfort while we can.
Everyone, if you would please roll perception. I know, dice. Eek.
Totally
We have
forgot
to
about
roll in
these.
this game.
There are dice. What are we playing?
Wait, is this not my improv class? Where am I?
I'm playing with Yahtzee dice. Does that count? Okay. Oh, holy shit. All right, Darian and Bosterod. The two of you overhear a conversation. Maybe it's just on your side of the table. These two very salty looking sailor types are discussing what's been going on and seem rather bothered by it, rather upset and angry that pitch has become so expensive. And one of them leans over to the other and he says, "You know what I bet it is? It's those damn Blackjaws. The damn Blackjaws have stopped taking the offering sacrifices. That's what's causing all of this to happen. They had the sacrifices, the pitch flowed." And the other one says, "Yeah, but they haven't been taking the sacrifices. We don't know why. That chap that's been tied up at the inn there has been tied up for 2 days. They haven't taken him." And they continue to grumble about the situation amongst one another.
Were these sacrifices already going on in Darian's heyday here? If so, does he know anything about them, even kind of surface level knowledge?
Yes. So people who push things really far whenever they come to Betrayer's Bay and they cross what serves as law here, they are usually offered up as sacrifice to some kind of entity known as the Blackjaws that live on the inland part of the island. They're kind of known for living amongst the Colossiahs there, the Betrayer. And it seems like most of the people here consider the Blackjaws kind of the reason that the pitch comes this far. That's probably the extent of the provable theories, at least. But yes, if I didn't answer the question, the sacrifices typically seem to appease them somehow.
Yeah, Bastrad will shoot Darian a look just like, is this some... And also, is that a normal thing? And sacrifices, is that what this place is about?
Yeah, yes. Darian will say after some bit of hesitation. I'll kind of lean in. So, the story goes that a while back, a long while back, that humanoids, all of us mortals, we weren't always attuned to magic or to the gods, that the gods held magic as a secret knowledge from us, that they kept in their blood, in ether. But one of the gods felt the plight of mankind, knew what we were lacking, the ways that we were suffering, that the gods held over us and held us through, and decided to go out away from the other gods to bestow its magic upon mankind through its blood, through its ether. And that is how people first learned to do magic. Which, like Bastrad, especially you having a religious background, and perhaps Haroon as well, would know that this is like completely not a story that anybody would have ever told in any regular religious establishment. That it's basically like this, like the fringe church that has like the crazy beliefs. Like that's kind of like what this sort of thing would be. So it'd be very, I think, surprising. And you would think not true, even being a not so religious man anymore. He'd continue and say, as a punishment for this Colossiah breaking the secrecy of the gods, that it was cursed, stripped of its name, left broken here on this island, met its blood, instead of being ether like most of the Colossiah, was turned to Icarus sludge. It's become sort of a symbol here for the lifestyle, for a lot of strange things, but it's brought with it some strange beliefs. In a way, there's a weird sense of worship to it. That pitch that they're talking about, that's what they mean. It's this cursed ether that flows from the betrayer. They've done some strange things to try to get it and make sure it keeps coming.
Do you
Like
know?
sacrifices.
Do you know about these Blackjaws?
Is that a name that I know?
Again, this name Blackjaws is, I mean, it's thrown around like Kong. It's this being, this entity that lives in the interior of this. It's not a jungle, but it's this thick swamp where nothing grows except for these gnarled, twisted trees that form this kind of swampy bog. And it's just this kind of boogeyman kind of story. Nobody knows what they look like or what they really are, but they're this entity that everybody's kind of afraid of, but also reveres in a way.
Yeah, Darian will say as much. Easy to mistake for the name of a faction, some crew or cult or whatever. Not so. It's a creature of sorts that lives in the swamps. There's a lot of superstitions about it, beliefs about what it does, what it wants. A monster, in a sense. Revered and feared. Apparently, it hasn't taken a liking to the recent offerings. He'll say casually.
Well,
Or
as long as they have
perhaps-
enough to fix our ship up, I don't know if it matters.
Or perhaps someone has interfered with this process.
There have been a lot of strange things going on lately, here and everywhere else. Wouldn't be surprised.
Well, perhaps the East Dock would be worth looking into, but let's not muddy ourselves in affairs that don't concern us.
Agreed. I have no interest in helping to restart a sacrifice. If it's ended, it's ended.
I mean, if we're lucky, our best option is just to stay out of anything that goes on around here. Just wait for the ship to get fixed and leave immediately. Getting involved around here gets messy real quick.
Pretty much everywhere we go.
And with where we're off to, it'll get a lot messier. We should go in fresh if we can.
One of the old salty dogs next to you has continued talking about this latest sacrifice. And it's the kind of situation, Darian, that I would imagine you hear like them dropping personality traits and like quirks and particular things they found annoying, or didn't care for, certain phrases that they might have said. And it's kind of the thing where that puzzle starts to just fit together in your mind and drawing more and more of your attention to it before you realize that you know the person that they're talking about. And then it's, something very specific, something incredibly particular that they mention. And the other one says, yeah, I didn't get his name, but he was, truth be told, I'm just glad he's shut up. Good riddance as far as I'm concerned.
What would be the feature that tips Darian off at the end of it? Like the indisputable part?
I'm going to have to say that Tim's got that information for you.
So it would definitely be the inability to shut up with facts. So finishing a point until the point is finished, regardless, and quickly, and going through multiple things that don't matter, but they matter to him. So very, very thorough explanations of nothing that no one else would care about, but that he needs to make known because they're right.
Perfect. And to give Darian a reason, I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here, Tim, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
What did you do for Darian that would make him owe you a significant favor?
I think it has to do with getting clean at the time. And I think that for me, we were both users who somehow got clean. And I think maybe even if it wasn't on purpose, some sort of thing that I did or some sort of way that I acted, or even just being the only one who would be around you at the time or whatever it was, I feel like because I also was a user, maybe we helped each other get clean. I don't know. How does that hit you?
Yeah, and it may have even been a thing where like Darian was about to like relapse and like fall back into it, but you stopped him or something like that.
Sure,
if that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's great. And it wasn't because I was like, "Hey, no, don't do it." It was because it was like, "Hey, it was inconveniencing me." So like I forced you, or I took it away and I like dumped it. I'm like, "What are you talking?" Like, no.
Don't use it.
Are you out
That's
of your
mine.
mind? Yeah, like no, this is mine, and I'm selling this to somebody. You can't have this. And I was like, I needed the money for something else because I had so I forced you not to, and maybe even I locked you in a room or something because I knew that you'd come out and slid some bread under the door, and then you went into detox. Something like that, where it was not because I cared necessarily.
I imagine it's one of those things where like each of our stories is very, very different. Because in Darian's mind, it was like, no, I have to help you. I'm doing this for you. Meanwhile, that wasn't actually the case at all.
Right. I love that.
Like here, this description of this person, and more he'll just start to like kind of like scratch at the edge of his face and kind of like look frustratedly towards these people talking as if they're like inconveniencing him with his knowledge. Eventually, he'll just like put his hand down on the table. I'm sorry, guys.
It's okay, Darian. It's been a rough couple of days for all of us.
I love that you apologize.
I have to help that person. I know who they're talking about.
Oh.
I owe him. You don't have to come, but it's probably going to be dangerous, but I'm going to go.
It's best that we all stick together.
Damn favors, like say, and like stand up from the table. However much left is in his cup, probably way too much to drink in one gulp. He will do so anyways. And just like without waiting or finishing his meal or whatever, will like immediately go to set off, knowing that if this person is actually set to be sacrificed, that who knows how long they'll live. Either they'll get taken or they won't, and they'll probably get killed anyways.
The rest of you?
Bastrad springs along, finally with a little bit of life in his step, since he's, since everything has gone down. Excuse me, the hiccups. Since everything's gone down, but yeah, so he's going to follow along happily. Danger sounds.
I think for the first time, Gathrod's leaving Harun's side and is taking off after Darian. This is the most exciting thing that's happened in a while.
Yeah, and Harun would just follow. So.
As I take off after Darian, there's just anybody following behind me would see the familiar wisps of smoke and shadow sort of coalesce around my body. But it seems to almost have these very faint, almost unnoticeable, but as if like lens flares. Like shadow shouldn't reflect light, but it seems like it does as I'm using my Armor of Shadow's ability to cast Mage Armor.
You guys kind of head towards the east of the docks. As you're going, the frequency and the amount of people and buildings kind of starts to peter out, and eventually gets to where there's swaths of darkness between the lantern lights that you're having to pass through from place to place. And you can see out in the fog, under the light of the stars and the moon, that there's this kind of swamp fog that clings to the lower part of the trees all along the surface of the water, and it's always kind of moving and swirling across the top of this water. As you head out on this long pier, the wood beneath your feet is beyond gray. It's beyond warped and buckled to the point that it's impossible to hide your footsteps. Sabanos, you have been strung up out here for going on 2 days now. No day, no way to judge that by the passing of the sun. Just going on time alone. The mosquitoes have had their fill of you. But so far, nothing and no one else has approached. So when you hear that hollow sound that footfalls make on these weathered boards, I think at first you may not even be certain that you're actually hearing it. But what do?
I continue to do what I've done for 2 days to keep myself sane, and I continue to work out the problem. And so as I'm strung up, and is it classic sort of hands behind the back, or like how am I chained or strung or roped or?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a good way that probably would not have outright killed you over 2 days. So it's basically, like you're hanging, with your arms above your head kind of situation.
Sure.
Again, the way I'm kind of picturing this is like the sacrifice that's being made to Kong at the edge of the village.
Yep.
You're just kind of waiting with nothing but the wilds in front of you.
Sure. And I'm even thinking that maybe it's a very rudimentary thing, but I imagine there's even a little bit of give, like I can pull out my hands and things like that to scratch my face or swat mosquitoes, but then I can't hold it for long, and so, as I continue to do that, I don't even turn around and look. I just start thinking and I say, well, the mosquitoes have stopped. So that means that clearly evening because they know it's evening, but they don't know it's day. Day because there's no sun, but there is a sun. It's just not a sun that we can see. The mosquitoes, they go off of things that aren't, you know, minds, brains. They go off of instinct. And so they know that the sun is there. And the mosquitoes fear the sun. And therefore, now they're here. Then it is evening. And then I start counting the footsteps. 60 feet. 45 feet. 30 feet. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. There's 4. Perhaps a female or a thin, light male. Definitely someone bulky. Yes. Heavy. A limp? No, not a limp. Laziness. No, not laziness. Boredom. Yes. And purposeful. Someone who's walking more purposefully. Yes. The leader walking in front, 2 steps ahead of the others. I'm hungry.
Darian, as you approach, is this out loud at all?
Absolutely. The world
Okay.
needs to hear this.
Of course.
Like this is important.
For posterity. Darian, you approach, and as you do so, you hear the familiar ramblings of your friend, Sabanos.
I told you one of these days your mouth was going to get you in trouble.
Are you on drugs again?
No, as a matter of fact, I'm not.
Oh. Well, I was. Quite a bender. I mean, it's pretty much what got me here. You wouldn't happen to have any, would you?
No, I don't.
It's a shame.
Bastard starts to say, I think we actually... Oh, and then he realizes, like, oh, that's why he's saying that.
Heard some people talking about you down at the inn.
What's not surprising? I mean, probably
Mostly about how much of a jackass you are, how annoying you were. You wouldn't shut up. Nothing new.
Yes, nothing new. And that's the problem, is that there's nothing new. The mundane, it's so boring. And then when I tell people the things that are interesting, they call me a jackass because they're too stupid to understand or care. But here I am, a feast for the mosquitoes.
I mean, if your life's boring, it sounds like your fault. I've had quite the adventure since I've seen you. Lots been going on, lots of cool places, lots of money, lots of fighting, even some friends. Can you believe it? Me, friends.
Well, bully for you. I thought for a while there I was the best you could do, which is saying quite a bit. I know what I am. I know how I am. I know that for me, it's drugs or solving things. I know that I'm rude and dismissive every day, but it's because most people are worth being rude and dismissive about. You, on the other hand, I didn't dislike you. I remember. I respected you. You had common sense, damned good common sense. I like to think that we would have become and continue to be great friends had we both kept doing drugs.
Keep complimenting me. I might just try to help you out. I'm going to have to say something a little nicer than fine, though.
Please help me. I can't get out of this by myself.
I don't know. Hearing you talk about how great I was pretty fun. Maybe you should do that a little bit more first.
Oh, maybe you should be more great. It'd be easier.
And you know, I think I'm just not great enough to help you out then, if that's how it is. Someone else will have to come by and see what they can do.
Very well. You there. And I'm not looking, but I'm just, kind of talking. The one with the, I'd imagine, large biceps. Based on the way you're crossing your arms and moving them, I can hear the skin, I can hear the crack of your bones. Anyway, I have a bit of coin, quite a bit of coin, more than I know what to do with. It's not on me, of course. I wouldn't carry it on me here.
We're all richer than we've ever been in our entire lives. You're not going to buy us out. Nice try, though. Let him squirm. It's more fun to watch him first.
Very well, then. What is it that you want for me to beg, grovel?
I told you. I want you to compliment me more. Tell me how great I am.
Okay, well,
No qualifiers of like, I guess you're okay. Oh, well, if I had to find something. No, Jen, I want you to mean it.
Okay, let me think. What was great about you? Okay. You're the only one who ever stood up to me. Actually stood up to me, told me I was wrong. And I don't just mean told me I was wrong. You were right about me being wrong. And that doesn't happen often. And after 5 minutes, most people tell me to piss off and shut up. I'll give it to you. You would listen. And you knew when I was wrong, and you wouldn't let me talk my way out of it. Not many people can do that.
Wow. Got the admission of being wrong. We really did strike gold here this time, didn't we? Well, that's about as good as it gets from you. So Darian will start looking around at how he's chained to this thing.
Yeah.
And see how much work it would be to undo it.
And as I'm sort of like chained, I sort of look off in the distance, and it is not malicious at all. It's mechanically just the way things go. I just sort of look off and I start urinating down my leg. What little water that I have left, just casually, like, and adjust a little.
Your friend is disgusting. I think he's going to fit in.
And I think there might be a faint half corner smile on Sabanos's face. It's so imperceptible, but he brushes it right away. But it's that look of when someone smiles and they try to brush it away, where you're trying to downturn, a smile. And he continues to. He finishes urinating.
Further up the pier, you can see a few people kind of looking your direction, and they kind of see what's happening. And one of them turns and kind of starts making their way, not running, but kind of at a brisk pace, back towards the center of town.
Jeremy,
how
can
much
I make?
does it?
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, like, what does it look like it'd take to break Sebanos out of this thing? Is it just like a lock that he could pick, or is there some sort of contraption? Like, how much would it take?
Yeah, it's basically just a contraption. There's a lever that's out, like, by quite a ways out of Sebanos' reach. And it's just a matter, it looks like, of just kind of switching this lever, and then you'd be able to pick the lock on his hands.
Yeah, Darian will walk over to the switch and just like forcibly kick it. I imagine like dropping Sebanos very suddenly down onto the ground, and he'll just kind of like toss back, not even looking towards him as he falls. I owed you one. The compliments were just for my own pleasure.
And he would hit the ground and sort of just and wring his wrists because they do hurt. And Jeremy, you said that the that person turns to run, and I think that Sabanos would snap his head around it and look as quickly as possible. I have a pretty ridiculously high passive perception and passive wisdom, passive intelligence. That's pretty much what his whole deal is. But I would like to try to roll or use my passive intuition to see who that was and where they would be going.
Okay. I don't even think that I mean, unless you just want to roll.
No, that's fine. No. Yeah, no. Nope.
Yeah, it's just a person who happens to live or work down in this part of the docks, who happened to look down and notice the commotion, see what occurred, and has moved off to tell somebody what's going on.
Okay. And then I would share that information, but I would do it in a way that was basically, that was a commoner, but that commoner knows a criminal, and those criminals are less than, let's see, how long take you? So it takes 5. So, and he basically does the math and explains that based on the chain of probability of how fast that person was running and where they're running to, based on where he's seen them and people like them, we have about X amount of time before someone gets here.
Godfrod rolls her eyes. Christine. And the time it took you to tell us that, we could have stopped them.
Yes, that is correct.
Well, let's leave now. And Bastrad just looks around why are we not already moving? And just starts running back towards the walking back towards the shipyard, trying not to draw attention, although he also knows that he's giant and horned, and drawing attention is one of the things he does.
I don't know if it would take a roll or not, but Darian would also try to pick the locket, Sebanos's cuffs on his hands.
No, and as a matter of fact, this lock, even though it was situated so that it was out of Sabanos' reach, this is almost an insultingly easy lock for you to pick. And it looks like this lock has been picked more times than you'd be able to probably tell looking at it.
Yeah, I imagine it's just a brief, just second and a half thing of Darian will just walk up, just grab and pull your arms up and just as if you just put the key in and turned it just like that quickly.
That's amazing. And then Jeremy, if it's okay with you, I would like to take, I think it should be 2 levels of exhaustion, 1 for each day. Just because I've been hanging up on that thing for 2.
Sure.
If you're okay with it.
Yeah, that sounds on point to me.
I mean, I hate it, but it just feels like the right thing.
Yeah.
Best that we be on our guard. Although whatever ritual sacrifice this was supposed to be that did not go according to their plan, we've no doubt interrupted their superstitious beliefs. And so, unless we want to end up here ourselves, let's make it back to the inn, shall we?
I mean, they were saying the Blackjaw wasn't happy with the sacrifices. I can't see why they wouldn't be. Maybe we've fixed the problem too. But yes, I agree.
Go ahead, Austin.
Oh, Bastrad will just look at Sabanos and say, I mean, I wouldn't be happy with him as a sacrifice either. So maybe they won't mind. But I don't know if the inn is the safest place to take someone that was just attempted to be a sacrifice. Apparently he's not too popular here.
I mean, I am thin from drugs and I smell like piss. But what's new? So, and then I run over to a pile of trash I start sort of like moving it around, shift, and I go, ha! Knew they wouldn't find it. And I shake out a dusty gray coat, sort of just tattered, battered. From the pocket, I pull an ashen gray scarf, sort of put on the coat. And as I'm putting my arms in, I'm like, but he's right. We really should get going. And then I sort of flip the scarf around my neck, looking like some sort of piss cupboard, like hobo prince.
Oh, I imagine the dust flying as you whip the scarf.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Now you smell like piss and shit. And they'll never find you.
That's amazing. I imagine a cat maybe kind of comes out and starts rubbing on my leg, and without missing a beat, I sort of like pick it up and put it in the pocket of the jacket. I don't know.
Okay. So, where now do the five of you intend to head? Is it to the shipyard? Is it back to the inn? Elsewhere?
I think we should take Sabanos back to the shipyard rather than the inn, because I'm personally worried about if they hated him enough to tie him up and sacrifice him, then maybe like parading around that we just busted him out is a bad idea.
Especially given that we heard just like random commoner level people talking about how much he was annoying them. Yeah,
Right,
I
like
agree
how
that
happy
he
they
probably
were.
like he obviously has a reputation, at least with some people there, and no reason to cause problems. And our ship is at least paid to be there, so we'll have some measure of safety and discretion, which we also paid for.
I was gonna say we already bribed their silence, so this should be worth the extra bribe.
Okay, so you head back to the shipyard, and you see the same woman that you spoke to earlier, but she's kind of off to the side. Looks like she's kind of overseeing a little bit of work that's being done and kind of correcting. No, you have to lean in, and she's kind of trying to show them. So she just kind of sees you and just kind of waves at from a distance. And as you get back towards where your ship is, you can see that there is this old looking, hunched, gnarled, leathery pirate that seems to be kind of going over your ship, kind of making notations almost mentally. It looks like there's no paper or anything, and he turns as you approach and kind of tries to straighten his back a little. Hello, masters. How are you?
This is our ship.
Yes, I figured as much. What do you need? What do you want? Forgive me. What, You're interrupting me.
Things were getting a little messy out there. Figured it's quieter in here. We won't be in your way.
Very well, very well. It's bad luck to sail on a ship with no name. He kind of pats the outside of the boat where there's this blank spot.
Darian will kind of look to the others like he hadn't even considered it.
He kind of waves his hand dismissively, kind of goes back to his measurements. He says, there is a little bit of a problem. They're limiting the barrels of pitch. I was only able to buy one. It's going to take at least 2 for this vessel.
How long will it take to get the second?
Who knows? They just started limiting it yesterday. Now they're saying there may not be any to be had at all.
And Sabino says this to Bastarad, and remember, he's not being rude, but he is being rude. He just talks like this to everybody. So he's like, don't be ridiculous. He's insinuating that we go get the second barrel of pitch. Clearly, it's not coming, is what he's saying. He's sending us off on an errand, and that's just his way of softening us up first.
He turns towards you, Sabanos. You again?
Sir? And he looks at the woman. He sort of flaps his scarf. Madam.
She just kind of looks and just shakes her head and goes back to what she's doing. The old salty dog that's been working on your ship, Sabanos, you realize this guy almost stabbed you a couple of nights back. How did you get out of that trap?
Well, the Blackjaw didn't like my talking either, turns out, and so he just couldn't have me. So he said, get on with myself, get on this ship, and get out of here, and we'll all call it square.
Shit. Complete shit. More than you smell like it.
That's piss, thank you. I haven't shit in 2 days.
Well, keep him to yourselves. I don't want to see him.
We don't want to see him either, but you get what you get.
Best to keep your friend below deck. And we'll need to figure out this situation with the pitch in order to be on our way that much sooner.
Where can we get it? Anywhere?
You can try the market. If you're feeling brave, you can talk to Mars Gadagon. He's the one who runs the place, at least he is now. But good luck.
Why do you say it like that? What's
Like what?
like it's never going to happen?
You are new around here.
Yes,
Look.
we said that, didn't we? He just looks around bewildered, like yes, I'm very new here. This is the first day I've been in this place.
Things around here don't happen unless you've got a lot of coin to grease their palms. Now, from what she said, you've got lots of money to pay. That's good. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to afford my services, I'll tell you that much. But, if they're limiting pitch to us, they're sure as the hell is not going to sell any to you. Fine. Good luck. Good luck is what I said. That's what I meant. On with yourselves.
Can I try to check to see if he's lying?
Sure, absolutely. You can roll insight.
Yep. And, okay. So don't forget I have disadvantage on this. Okay, that's not bad. So I actually have this cool ability called Ear for Deceit. So the disadvantage in this case doesn't really matter because it says anything lower than a 7, I get to treat as an 8. So that's actually a neat use of the ability.
Okay, so
that'll be a 23 total.
Holy shit. Yeah. So you get the distinct impression that while he may believe everything he's saying, that he has no authority that he's speaking with here. That he probably likely has no clue how difficult it might be for anyone to actually acquire this, and it was just difficult for him, and he's thus making assumptions based upon that.
Gotcha. And I think, and I hate to do it, but I have to say that to everyone in front of him. So I don't talk to him
Right.
at all. I just turn and I say, just as you did, to Darian, and I'm positive. And I don't purposefully deride him. I'm just factually, rude by circumstance of the fact.
And this codger reaches down behind his back and draws the same knife that you saw earlier, and it looks like it's made out of a belaying pin with like a blade that's been shoved into a crack and then it's been like wrapped.
Yeah.
This old ass knife, and he's kind of pulled this out and he says, "You stupid bastard," and he kind of like starts coming at you with this knife. But I mean, this guy's probably pushing 80, and maybe he's about the same.
I'll put myself in between the two of them and just hold a hand out to the man, like, he's an idiot, but apparently he's our idiot now, so please just step back.
You want me to work for him?
It's bad luck to stab paying customers. Scares the money away.
I might make an exception. He kind of like puts the knife back behind his back.
And Bastard will turn to Darian and be, Darian, can you pay the man a little extra for his... And he looks pointedly at Sabanos. Trouble.
There'll be plenty of time to sort all that out later. Darian will say. We've already paid a lot of money to this guy. Darian doesn't want to pay him more unless we have to. So he'll hope that was out of earshot of this man.
Okay, so you guys are going to get situated on your ship and figure out what to do next. And while you figure out what to do next, we are going to go ahead and take our break. So 5-10 minutes, go to the bathroom, refill your drinks, smoke them if you got them, kiss your spouse, etc., etc. And yeah, thank you very much if you are tuning in this evening, or whether you are watching live or in the future. Thank you very, very much. And yeah, thank you guys so far. You all are fantastic. So sit tight, and we will be right back. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We are going to get into the second half of tonight's episode called Blackjaws. So, where we left off, the 5 of you have returned to your ship. A ship with no name, as you have been told, is bad luck. And you are settled in, however you wish to do so, here on your ship, with this new friend of Darian's, or friend might be a strong word, but it's somebody that Darian seems to be familiar with. So what is the plan going forward?
We have to go find the pitch, don't we? If no one will sell it to us, I mean, he seemed pretty sure. We might have to head into that swamp after all.
So how feasible would that be? Because that would be Darian's first impulse, I think, would be to just go to the source and get it. But I guess he would know in character whether or not that's physically possible and how much, guards would be there or oversight or danger of any sort.
So you would know that this is not the kind of journey that sane people undertake very frequently. Getting to the betrayer is dangerous. There's essentially a ring that kind of surrounds the entire island, or between the coast of the island and where this betrayer actually lies, his final resting place. And that entire swath of land, that kind of donut around this Colossia, is called the Breathless Bog. It is filled with elven ghosts, those who have ascended beyond their corporal forms, and now are drawn here for some unknown reason. Beyond that point, you get to the final resting place of the betrayer, and that supposedly is where the Blackjaws live. And you know that whatever the Blackjaw is, or the Blackjaws are, it in and of itself is supposed to be, again, this very fiercey boogeyman type entity. So it is certainly something that has been done before, but you know that it's only been done by maybe only one person that you've ever actually met. So it's the kind of thing that would be very difficult and very dangerous to do on your own.
Does Darian or Sabanos know this Magtherin character that's controlling the pitch?
So Maz Gadigan, no, I don't think any of you probably know this individual. But they wouldn't be difficult to find in this town.
So we try to buy it, and if we can't buy it, then we see if we can get it somewhere else. What do you think?
These people here are shipwrights for many more people than just us, and they had a hard time buying it. I can't imagine that'll be easy. Easier probably than finding it ourselves. Worth a shot, but I wouldn't bet any money on it going well.
And Jeremy, I just from it's a little meta, but just to kind of understand, is basically I am someone who is a detective, someone who is absolutely pieces things together that seem to most as completely unrelated. Is there any way that I can actually mount some sort of investigation to find the best place for us to get this pitch? Or, and this is where it gets a little meta, are you as Jeremy the DM saying you're not going to be able to buy it? Like you have to go find it? Because I think what I don't want to do is go down a road that is absolutely an antithesis of what you're trying to communicate as a DM.
So I would say, especially with you having been here for a few days, that the feeling that you have gotten is that pitch is being reserved for the people that this city, this port are going to rely on, the people that are bringing imports and exports to them. So it's unlikely that a little vessel like yours is going to meet their qualifications for getting anything, especially if it has simply continued to get rarer over the 2 days that you've been strung up. So it's possible
Yes.
you might be able to steal some or lie your way into getting some somehow, but that it would be a hard pitch. No pun intended.
No pun intended, yeah. And I would communicate that to Darian in a way that essentially, especially emphasized the fact that before I was strung up 2 days ago, it was very, very hard to get. And now it's been 2 days, and I would be on the level and know that people didn't like me. So, but even if I could hide, they're not going to give it to outsiders. And I would be pretty certain of that, and communicating that, at least my opinion, to Darian and the others of like, we could try, but it would either be dangerous or impossible unless we know someone and have a connection.
Maybe we do just get it ourselves then. It's a little danger. Nothing we haven't been through.
But do you know where and how? And do we have the means and tools to get this pitch? I feel all of this, there are already people who do this. They simply have not been able to for some other reason. So if we help them remove that roadblock, perhaps we can gain pitch without exorbitant cost.
You're saying we offer to help them get things moving again in return for first crack when they do?
Absolutely. Our skills are better served handling whatever issue this is. Their skills are better served getting the pitch.
It's not a bad idea. The only thing that does more than coin around here is favors. Maybe we try to find this boss and pay him a visit. See if we can lend a hand.
Well, there is something that I've, well, for you specifically, Darian, there's someone who's been asking after you. At first, I didn't get the connection or even think that you would come back here, but it's unmistakable. Probably in the same way that you recognized me by my description, I recognized you by yours. The fool also used your name. This pirate a day or two ago, well, it would have been now 4 days, 3 days, 2, 3, depending on how long I was actually strung up, but based on the mosquitoes and the different ships coming through. In any way, there was a pirate asking about your whereabouts, which I thought was rather odd. I thought you'd be dead of an overdose by now. But here we are.
you going to tell me who it was, or are you just going to spin yourself in a circle until you pass out?
It would be much easier than usual now, as I could. But in any event, and then Jeremy, what would I know about this person? What could I tell him about this pirate?
Roll me an investigation check. It'll be a retroactive thing that happened before.
Sure. Beautiful. Okay, that's perfect. It's a 19.
Excellent. Okay. So you don't know this man's birth name, his given name, but the name that he goes by is Raccoon. And he has mostly been known to kind of be a mid-level investigator, much like you. But he has been known to work for a rather notorious pirate named Catullus Varn.
And I would share that information with Darian using far too many words and taking far too long.
When you mentioned the name Catullus, you'd see Darian's face like immediately twist in like surprise, and maybe even with your investigative eyes, a twinge of fear. And then he'll like quickly mask that away, hoping it was not perceived by the others, but it almost assuredly was. Oh, I don't want to see him. I think that's a bad idea.
Oh, well.
Could this person mean trouble for us?
Could this person mean pitch for us?
We didn't end on good terms, he and I. He might even like me less than people around here like you.
Oh. Well, then he's not giving us any pitch.
No, we might try to hang you up by your hands and sacrifice you. So, perhaps not that lead. Perhaps we avoid that lead as best we can.
I would
So
also...
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I would also say that, Savanos, you've been here for a number of days before you were kind of strung up. And you would know that there has been mention of a guide who frequents, the Betrayer's Bay occasionally, and that he happens to be here, or he was at least as of a couple of days ago. Somebody who reportedly has been inland here on the island.
And so basically what I would do is I would take all of the things that we've been discussing, and in the sand or the dirt or wherever, a piece of chalk on a wall, I write in shorthand the actual thing, whether it's basically the method by which we would get the pitch, and then next to it I write the odds. And so basically writing this out, and I mean, there's like 4 or 5 different things, and there are sub trees and different things like that. And then finally I circle it, and it just says guide. And I just tell them basically that the best chance that we have is by using someone who has been here and that we can't guess. we can't begin to try to imagine what's going on here. We need somebody who knows what's going on here deeper than that, you know. And I think Sabinus would probably only say is, yes, his name is something like Alasakalava Faravara Alakata. Oh no, carry the most of it's a song. It's he. Yes, and Faravaccio Alasakara. His name is Fa. We can find him. He's a guide in the city, and I believe that he is our best chance, best hope to find out what that old man didn't know.
As much as I loathe to lay our plans at your feet and trust your judgment, you do know the goings on around here better than the rest of us right now. If you think he's our best bet, then I think we should see him. I do think that it's only fair, though, that if we're going to keep working with each other, that we tell you what we're going to do, so that if you want to run away now, you can do that instead. Once we get our ship fixed, we're going to go chase a cult who's bringing god bones into hell, and we're going to kill them and bring them back out.
Sounds like a damned good time to me.
Perfect. That's resolved then.
And you'd probably see the first actual excitement and the first real smile of this strange prospect of doing something very, very interesting and weird. And I'm super about that.
So now we're just picking up every stray dog that we find tied up outside of the docks?
More targets for the demons to claw at besides me and you. I think it's worth it.
Well, since you put it that way.
We're clearly already outnumbered, Kavarad. Any help we can get at this point is welcomed. But you, Sabinos, are no help in your current condition. Before we find this far, you should rest and get cleaned up. Perhaps in the morning. We can make more headway in this situation.
Maybe get cleaned up twice.
Make sure you wash your hands for at least 20 seconds.
And your pants for longer.
And I think at that point he would begin probably saying, "Oh, okay," and like just as though it was normal, just start taking off his coat and take off his shirt and take off his pants and just sort of be standing there naked, like. Well, then where will I be washing my things?
Maybe take those into the cargo hold or on deck.
They need to be burned.
There's an ocean like 5 feet in any direction from here. I'm sure you can find some water.
I was going to say, I imagine this ship, it had a bunch of stuff when we left. So would it not maybe have some clothes on it as well?
Jeremy, it would be really cool if we could come up with an outfit that has no place being on any sort of respectable detective. Like it could be something like a bellhop or like some sort of weird like butler outfit or something, like whatever weird thing you want to come up with.
So essentially the vessel that they're sailing on, they found in the dock filled with personal belongings and just left there in Belorion. So this was essentially somebody's personal yacht that just didn't get away from the city in time. So there's a complete closet full of, or an armoire full of garish, like elven noble clothing.
Yeah, can we please find whatever the momentum equivalent of yacht clothes are? Like,
That-
boat shoes and the like.
It's a
That's
sweater
amazing.
tied over your
shorts,
shoulders.
Like,
yeah. The momentum
Loafers.
equivalent. I mean, I even have the hat.
like in Tortuga, prepped like a preppy douchebag. Like that is
I'm in.
so perfect.
I love it. Like the boat shoes and everything. I'm so in on that.
Done.
The pants don't quite meet like the ankles. It's like definitely.
Got a shell necklace.
How many shirts are you wearing? Collars are
Collars
just
are
popped over and over and again.
I know.
He's got
Three
three
polos.
he's
It's
got
three polos.
He's got 3 hoods.
3 hoods. I'm extra stealthy now. Oh goodness! All right.
That's amazing.
Perfect. I love it. Okay, so once you have gotten Sabanos dressed and cleaned, is the idea to just have him stay here on the ship and the rest of you go back to the Harbor Harlot since you've paid for there, or are all of you staying here with the ship? What you got?
Is there any way we can disguise him? I mean, I know we won't be able to disguise his personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no getting around that, but like
So, I think part of the worry is that they saw us down there too, so I think we're recognizable too now, not just him.
Maybe, but main thing is, if we take him with us, I think the disguise portion aspect is obviously he's gonna be wearing clothes they didn't see him in before. So
Yeah, there's all kinds of that kind of thing to be had. Clothing that's much more discreet. Cloaks and like oil skins and things that you could throw over to mask his appearance.
Yeah, and I don't know that he would have a preference one way or the other. I mean, at this point, he's sort of just drifting through. Like, this is the most interesting thing that's happened in a while. Just even running into you again, Darian, and all that. So he's very much like playing it by ear. There's not really any intent. So he'll either, if you want, he'll stay on the boat, or he'll come with you. There's really no. He's just like, yeah, whatever. I'm in for whatever's going on right now. This is crazy.
I think Darian's instinct would be caution and just to stay here, but he could very easily be talked out of that if the rest of the group wanted to go back and try some disguise shenanigans.
There's no point in trying to disguise him. I think anything we put on him, he's always going to be visible. As soon as he opens his mouth.
and it seems that is unavoidable.
And let's be fair. You and I, Bastard, we kind of stand out as well.
We may cast distinctive profiles.
That's what I said, just a different way.
I know he's rubbing off on me though.
Oh, gods.
I think it's best we keep Sabinos where we can see him. Besides, I fear the old man will stab him or something worse if we leave him here on the ship. So
Okay, so it sounds like the general consensus is to hang here at the ship. All right. So how long are you managing, are you wanting to just kind of bunker down and wait? Is it just simply overnight? Yes? Maybe.
I think so, because if we were identified, like if that person said, "Hey, I saw an alpha dwarf and a bone can, blah
Walk
blah,"
into a bar.
go tell people, and they asked around, then they're probably going to come to the docks. And if anything, we're in a defendable position here on our ship than out in the open. If nobody comes by, then either they don't really know who let Sabinos go, or they'll be waiting for us once we're already in town. So either way, I think the safest for us to stay here tonight.
The other option
And
is
theoretically, silence is bought here as well, which does lend us the extra benefit.
I mean, if it might. I mean, it's never smart to split the party, but at the same time, it might be smartest to send Darian out to find this guide. Just since he's a human and might kind of be a little more indistinguishable, and he's used to the area. But
Okay. So I would imagine at some point during the night, the woman that you had checked in with, the one who owns this shipyard, kind of comes to the bottom of the gangplank and kind of gives a whistle.
did you say in the middle of the night?
I mean, like midnight.
Okay.
11 o'clock. Not
Okay.
super early in the morning.
Late in the evening.
But
Okay.
yes, very late in the evening. Hello? Is there anyone aboard?
What? What's going on? Something wrong?
Well, permission to come aboard?
He tries to search for like the proper like protocol word, trying to figure like granted.
Yes, that's perfect. She kind of crosses the gangplank. So, there are people out looking for you in the city.
For me? I've only been here a few hours.
For all of you. Your group. As well as she kind of like looks past you, your new friend.
Well, does it seem like anyone's been headed this direction?
No. Once again, I have done you a favor. I turned him away.
And we
I
are
haven't
greatly
seen.
appreciated.
You bought it. As I said, my discretion is not usually cheap, but you more than paid for it.
Are you suggesting some course of action to us? It's
No.
late. You'll have to speak plainly.
I would not presume to do so. I was merely passing on a warning. It sounds like Maz Gatagon himself has sent his enforcers, if you want to call them that, out into the city to try to find you. They believe that you have some connection to releasing a prisoner.
Do you mean the chatty one? We had nothing to do with that. We just
She
found
puts her
it.
hands up, like in no contest. I know nothing of what you have been up to and what you have not, and I would prefer to keep it that way. I make my livelihood here. You do not shit where you eat.
Understood. Well, I thank you for your warning, and I'll relay it to my compatriots.
Well, I hope you have a good evening, and whatever you're doing here, I hope that the repairs go swiftly and you are on your way.
I'll just nod at her and turn back into the ship. But
evening.
watch her leave. Watch her actually exit,
Yeah, she does.
and then head back to let everyone know that there may be trouble heading our way.
You should be safe here if she keeps her word, which it seems like she will. But when we go out searching for this guide, it may be a bit more of a problem. We'll have to lay low.
Not to mention the old man. He hates our new friend, and if he's questioned, we can't guarantee that he would keep his tongue from flapping. Should be careful. And ready to leave at a moment's notice if we must.
Our ship's currently in the process of being taken apart and fixed. Don't know that leaving suddenly is an option.
I think by avoiding this, we're only going to be causing more problem. We should address it head on.
Sabanos, what? I mean, I know you are how you are, but what specifically did you do to make them want to sacrifice you?
And I will leave that up to Jeremy. What did I specifically do? or is it narratively, like, did you have something in mind, or?
No, that's just a situation that I figured the character might end up in at some point. And I thought it would be fun to introduce you that way.
That's
So,
fantastic.
Whatever you want to come up with.
I hate to do it to the party, but this is just the way I do things, man. So and of course this isn't law, we can talk it through, but my thinking would be that I probably wised off specifically to what's his name? The
one who runs the town?
Maz Gadigan?
Maz Gadigan.
Ooh, okay, nice.
Or his, you know, I'm trying to think, it was his lady friend. I don't know. Like basically someone totally very close to him, or his mother. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, man. That sounds great. Maz Gadigan is certainly the kind of person that would clap you in irons for saying something disparaging about him.
And maybe it wasn't even that I said it specifically. So what if it was just that I was right and he was wrong, and I made him look really stupid?
That works too.
So it wasn't like I was rude or anything. I was just like, no, and maybe like just took him apart factually in front of his men and made him look just like a huge ass just with the facts. And then he's...
I love it. That's what we're going to go with.
Cool.
Instead of avoiding Maz, I suggest that we actually talk to him and perhaps offer him something more substantial than, and I look over to Sabanos, the sacrifice that was intended that clearly did not fix this problem that he is having in his town. If we offer him a solution greater than Sabanos' inflection, we should avoid confrontation. And being an emissary of peace and a negotiator, I feel like that is the best course of action in this situation.
This may be duplicitous, and it's not normally in my nature to try to lie, but I think it may be of value to us to not mention Sabanos and just offer our services, perhaps in return for the freeing of a prisoner who we, as a group, still believe is held captive, ready to be sacrificed. And he kind of like leans into the wink, like, because we still think he's hanging there, and maybe if we do this job for them, they'll free him.
Except that freeing him isn't the prize that we want. It's the pitch that we want. That's what we should negotiate for. I could care less what they think about Sabanos.
Not to mention, if we caught in a deceit, it will only trouble us further. And if what our companion outside has relayed to you, which you've relayed to us, is that they're already looking for us. so they know we were there.
I'm mostly thinking if they have any proof of it, we'll be sacrificed alongside him.
Oh, you think they care about proof? That's funny.
Fair enough. Well, then I guess we go and speak to this person and prepare to have to fight our way out. He seems kind of resigned to this, but like lost as to what else we're going to do. We need the pitch. We have to be able to keep going. So
Sabanos is already rubbing off on you. That was a long walk to get to the part where we go talk to him and fight.
you know Ingrid doesn't like it when I fight, so and he kind of stops dead for a moment. Let's go. Well, no, you rest.
Who's Ingvarad?
Touchy subject.
I walk over
For once
to
in your life,
Sabanos.
shut up.
I walk over to Sabanos and I just look right up at him. Do not say that name again. Her name does not need to come out of your dirty mouth.
And he just kind of raises his hands like, hey, you don't know. And then he looks over at Darian and he goes, there's your ship name.
I think as emphasis, as I'm saying that to Sabanos, this time there's no light. The shadows just sort of curl up. As I'm saying it, they curl up from behind, almost making me look bigger before they kind of settle in around my form and sort of seep into my clothing as I recast armor of shadows. And then I turn on my heel and walk away from him.
Been a long couple days for us too. We should probably leave it.
Okay. So it sounds like the plan is to seek out Maz Gadigan for a discussion. Okay. Is everyone going?
Fuck it, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that sounds good. I like it.
Let's just like spit in this guy's face when we walk in with Sabanos.
That's amazing. 'cause
Freshly released.
I love that because I'm going to be like, hey, guys, I know it's been a rough couple days for you. I think I should probably stay. But I think if you actually did even insinuate that in character, that's the most interesting thing. And I would be all about seeing that through. Like, oh, what's going to happen? That sounds amazing. Yeah.
it's going to be like the slow motion scenes in Letterkenny when our group just walks in slow motion into the bar.
I think we have some like some elven vintage wine or something on this ship. We should probably bring that as a gift.
Oh yeah, no, I think actually like we did buy some good shit. That's like specifically for that reason, I think. Like yeah, that's a great idea. Let's bring that along.
Yeah.
I think you guys also have ether on board, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
We have a buttload of ether.
Oh,
That's what I was saying
now?
before. Yeah, we bought a bunch of ether to fuel our ship. So we have like cases of ether, I think.
So Darian's been going down and checking the engine occasionally, you know, just
Puffing on the exhaust pipe.
there you go.
One for the ship, one for me.
This is great.
One for the ship, one for me. I'll have a suit.
One for the ship, one for me.
Yeah, and you would know, again, outside of Elven lands, ether is illegal and only sold on the black market. So the value of it outside of Elven lands just skyrockets.
Yeah, let's bring some ether presents.
Hey, when you mess up, some guys send flowers, other guys send ether. It's all good.
Okay. So, you guys all gather whatever it is that you're going to take, wear whatever you're going to wear, and you head into the city. It's not long before your presence on the street is noticed, and people start kind of following you to kind of see what's going to happen. Nobody steps in to intervene or says or does anything directly to you, but they seem very interested in seeing the outcome of this play out. Before long, you run across someone who heads ahead to go find or warn Maz Gadigan that you are coming. Where Maz Gadigan lives is not difficult to find. It's basically kind of like finding the governor's mansion in Port Royal. It's a very extravagant place, even though it is still kind of drab and gray compared to most fine establishments, because it is here in this shithole of a place. And standing on the balcony, kind of looking down towards you, is a dwarf. And this dwarf, you can smell. That's not who that is. This dwarf you can smell before you can fully see, but not like Sabanos. You smell perfume from this dwarf. And the smell of finery, roasted foods, fresh produce, fine wine and alcohol. This dwarf is standing on this balcony with this impossibly large feathered hat and rings on every finger, with his hands kind of rest on the banister in front of him, watching you with these cold gray eyes as you approach. Do you say anything as you approach?
Bastrad is going to let Darian, or maybe Sabanos, hopefully Darian, take the lead on this. Bastrad's taking the back seat either way, but gonna hopefully Darian knows the protocol better.
I don't know. We've had a pretty outspoken negotiator of peace declare himself such already, so maybe he does the talking.
Very fair.
All right. So, does anybody introduce him to us, or we just see him?
Yeah, you just see him standing there, watching you, almost like a bird of prey from his perch.
Okay. Yeah, so looking up at him, I will proffer just this ornate box, whatever we found on the ship, and say, we come in peace and bear gifts.
You have hidden yourselves away from me for some time. Why is this so?
We're merely on our ship.
Come inside. And he kind of turns from the banister and he steps back and he snaps one of these, ringed fingers against his ringed thumb, and he points down at you, Sabanos. He does not talk.
Deal, Darian will immediately say.
And he turns and heads back through these very lavish-looking curtains back into this estate that is wide open. All these windows are open to catch just any breeze that might be had here.
Bastrad will we'll just lean down to Sabanos and say, and not in an unfriendly way, like not cruelly or anything. I'll say, "Is that going to be possible for you, or should I fashion a gag?"
Keep the gag handy.
He'll nod, just kind of understanding, and start kind of looking around in his pockets for something he could use.
I would say Sabanos hands him a very nice sort of yacht handkerchief, like the pocket square kind of thing.
Absolutely. It's silk and it's embroidered with somebody's initials.
Somebody's initials, and the three letter treatment too, boy.
It's actually got a Roman numeral at the end. You're not even sure what it is. There's so many damn letters in it. So you mount the steps to this manor house, and there's people who are working and guards and things all over the place in here, as well as this is the kind of place where you enter and you're like, this is what happens to all of the great shit that passes through this city. It all winds up here. There's, exotic pottery and weapons and things from all over Momentum. And you're led up this grand central staircase, this large sweeping arch of a thing that has carved railings. It's not elven architecture, but it's like humans trying to mimic elven finery. It's again almost like the clothes that Sabanos are wearing. It's garish. And you're led upstairs to what looks like a music room. There's a large harpsichord in the corner, and there's several stringed instruments kind of sitting about on stands. And Maz Gadigan is seated behind this impossibly ornate desk. It looks like it might actually have Colossiah bone in addition to gold, like made into parts of this desk. As you enter, he sits in the chair and removes this very large hat and places it on a stand nearby. His hair is oiled and curled, and as well as his beard. Everything in this guy is immaculately in place. I would offer you to have a seat, but I don't really want you to stay that long. You have freed, and he kind of looks around some of you, maybe at Sabanos, someone who is meant to be a sacrifice to this city, both as protection and as an exchange of goods. Why have you done this?
It seems that you're
I thought he was just pausing for drama.
Me too.
Yeah, and then it went on a little
I was
longer.
like, damn, he's committed to this moment. He's in it. And then I realized he's not moving.
The fateful Zoom drop.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you're about to make a big speech? Well, guess what?
Yep.
that crucial diplomacy? Uh-huh.
The big bad is like, answer me now. Now.
Oh no. Hopefully dropped out.
Yeah. Fully
Cat got your
dropped, yeah.
tongue?
Well, no, I am up. So what I
Now
would say,
I am Bastarad.
I would say your sacrifice was unwanted. I don't know if I can do that voice. It's very difficult.
I don't know if I could do that voice.
At least in spirit.
Hey!
All right, excellent.
Hey,
I
hey.
will work on getting you guys shuffled around.
Okay, now we shuffle characters. I like
I
it.
have no idea what happened.
You get to play Darian now, Alan. Have fun.
Oh, okay. Well, Darian wasn't talking, so go ahead.
Oh, well, there is no Haroon now, so...
Pressure's off of me. Okay. So please, Alan, go ahead.
I don't know. Like,
Finish
I was
your
still moving, but you guys were frozen. But I was all like, what's going on? Yeah. Okay. So I say to him that it seems that your sacrifice was unwanted.
Unwanted? How would you be able to determine such a thing?
It has come to my understanding that he was there for several days. And yet your problem in your town has persisted. You're nearly out of pitch, so much so that you have limited it. And now it is hurting your town. It is hurting your business.
He's kind of rolling this fine ink pen kind of in his hands. And as you've been talking, like the pace at which he's kind of moving this back and forth has increased. And he finally stops, and you can see him putting enough stress on this pen that like his thumb kind of starts to turn red on the tip. But it doesn't break, and he doesn't lose his facial composure at all. Yes, what you say is true.
But perhaps your sacrifice was simply unwanted by the means in which you were hoping to sacrifice it. Perhaps your prayers have been answered. But with that, I will like just grab. I imagine he's probably got some sort of glasses around. I will just grab.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll just grab a glass and set it on his desk, and then I will open this vintage and begin just to pour its red contents into the glass and slide it over to him. We have a proposal for you that we feel will be beneficial for both our party and yours.
He turns those cold gray eyes kind of towards the glass as you fill it, and as you kind of stop about halfway or so, he just gently reaches over and touches the bottom of the bottle and tips it forward just a little more to make sure that the glass is full. I see. You have something in mind, then?
Yes. In exchange for Severonis' life, we will help you in restoring the flow of your pitch, as well as we would like to acquire at least one barrel of pitch for ourselves, as we are trying to make repairs and accommodations on our ship.
So you suggest that you will solve this problem, this flow of the pitch for me, as well as take him away from here? He kind of
Yes.
looks towards Sidious.
Very much a win-win, is it not?
For that, I will give you 2 barrels of pitch, if you manage to actually bring it back.
Most generous.
You don't make it to the top of this shit heap without being able to make deals.
So,
So
we
you-
have...
How do you intend on fixing the problem of the flow of the pitch? I am most curious to hear this.
We believe we have a means in order to address your problem. And if we fail, well, we're out of your hair and just the same, are we not?
I suppose, yes, if you end up dying in the breathless bog or the Blackjaws eat you, I suppose it is of little concern. But the pitch needs to... It needs to come back, and it needs to come back quickly. As you said, I am, in fact, desperate.
Then perhaps, since we are new to your island, perhaps you know someone who can provide services in order to expedite our expedition into retrieving the pitch.
A guide, you mean?
Hmm.
It's funny you should ask. There is actually such a person here in town. He's been to the interior of the island. Supposedly, he has even interacted with the Blackjaws. He may be able to help you.
So, do we have, as you say, an accord? We will see to your pitch problem. You will provide us with 2 barrels of pitch, and in return, we take this one off your hands.
If you return to Betrayer's Bay and you have not fixed the problem with the pitch, you will all become sacrifices. Do we still have an accord?
Seems fair, in the sense that if we do not die beforehand,
If you do not die out in the breathless bog, then do not come back.
and I will reach out my hand to shake his to seal the verbal contract.
He looks you up and down for a moment, and he reaches out and clasps your hand. You serve your people well, as a Kalendari. They are not typically known for their generous natures.
I hoped that future generations of the Kalendari can seek other means of interacting with the people than with the sword.
He kind of chuckles. Future generations. Right. After what I saw happen on Belorion, I do not think we have much of a future left.
I pray that you are wrong.
I am not one for prayer. But this is an instance where I am willing to make an exception. Good luck. I mean it.
And I will gesture a bow and take several steps back before turning to the group and, motioning for us to be on our way.
And Darian will turn and leave. And as they go, he'll give Sabanos a pat on the back of good job for not talking.
And then Sabanos does this and spits out a gag.
Let us find this guide and make haste.
You know, it's funny that he said he prayed for us, but who's there left to pray to but us? We're the ones that are going to be saving what's left. He just kind of shakes his head, like a little ruefully almost, like a little sad about feeling that way. But like, we're the last ones to pray to. We're your last chance, and look at us. Like, look what we are. You're all screwed.
Quite the band of saviors they've got to hope for.
All right. You head back out into the city, and you begin looking for this guide. You find him. You find him at one of the places that Bosterod was seeking whenever you first arrived. This, essentially a pit fighting arena. It's not quite as organized as that might sound, but there is money exchanging hands, and there are people who are beating the piss out of each other for entertainment and prestige. So, being told that this is where this individual was, you have arrived, and there is a match in progress. There is a bonekin in the fighting pit, whose horns are both broken just above his skull. And he is covered in scars and bruises, blood. He is a mess. And he's the one winning. He is currently taking on 2 dwarves who look like they step off of a ship. They're barefoot and dirty, and they are fighting as dirty as they look. They are taking every opportunity they can to try to flank this individual and cut at his legs, and he is just... he picks up both of them and slams them together at one point, and just ignores the fact that a dagger had been driven into his calf muscle. This is a knockdown, drag-out fight, though it doesn't look like the aim is to necessarily kill. Bets are being passed everywhere. You see silver flying all over the place here.
I would immediately start looking for whoever the bookie or whoever's managing these bets. I definitely want to put some money on this bonekin. I got a little bit of racial pride there, and I'm going to go ahead and display it with my money.
All right. Yep. The odds are in his favor. It sounds like this is not the first round of his for the night, and that he's been doing well so far. So it's not great odds in your favor to place your money on him, but they will certainly take your bet. Okay. What is the process that you guys would like to go through to try to find this guide?
So I feel like good old-fashioned investigation. So just like looking around, thinking about what we were told and thinking about what I know. Essentially, if this person has been where they say they've been, and it's sort of knowing the details that I know, I want to piece that together to try to pinpoint some behaviorisms.
Absolutely.
And that sort of thing.
Okay. So maybe an insight roll?
Sure. Oh God, that's 23 again.
Yeah,
that's like my one thing.
You
so
tell
don't
me
expect me to do anything in a fight.
Yeah. You tell me exactly where you find this individual.
in the bathroom. He's actually I don't know, is there some sort of like latrine or like stall, or is there like an outhouse, sort of like what's the situation there?
Yeah, I imagine there's probably like a 3 or 4 hole situation, kind of, out back, but not far enough out back.
Yep.
The ground between has been worn into mud, and the smell and the state of that building is horrific.
And so I essentially go in there and shoulder to shoulder with too many, sweaty people. Some have just finished a fight and, relieving themselves and so on. And the guide has his pants around his ankles, letting nature take its course. And I step way too close socially for him to be sitting, essentially in one of the most compromising positions a human can be in. And I just kind of approach him. We're in need of a guide, and we have gold. And I just talk to him as though we're standing in a normal place and that he's not defecating.
So you approach this person who has quite a bit of room around him. And you realize as you walk up to him that he is an elf. And not simply an elf, he is almost completely ascended. He is almost a breathless himself. You can see the shape of his body because of the clothing and the armor that he wears and this wrap that he has around his head. But apparently he's got enough left of himself that still needs to answer the call of nature. His hands, and perhaps a few other pieces as well. He turns this kind of blank visage towards you, this inner glowing of ghost light. Is it possible for us to have this conversation later?
It would absolutely be possible. But I know, based on your ascension, based on the glow when I saw you a few days ago, this isn't something that you do often. Maybe once a month. Whereas most of us, I was doing this down my leg not too long ago. But I knew this is where I would find you, and I knew this is where I would have your attention, and I knew this is where you wouldn't be able to run as easily. So if you give me your word that you'll talk to us, I'll happily let you finish your monthly business.
You certainly are an interesting conversationalist. I will give you that. If you allow me to finish what I am doing, then perhaps we can discuss whatever other business happens next. And yes, I will talk to you.
Very well. He's pissing on your shoe. And I turn and walk out, and there's this sort of drunk, and his stream has sort of, gotten over, and it's at least splashing a little bit on this ascended guide's left shoe.
He simply sighs. And after a moment, he exits this latrine and says, "Now, what is it that was so important that it had to happen in that room? I sense urgency."
Certainly. I am definitely not the one to speak probably as clearly about the things that matter to others. Now, perhaps you're high-minded, but I'll leave it to one of them, and I kind of wave my hand at everyone else.
There are others. Wonderful. At least they had the good sense to not come into the bathroom with you.
Yes, you'd think they would listen. anyway, if you would follow me,
Of course.
I would sort of walk, and I'm not sure where everyone would have been positioned at this point. I know, Bastarat is probably like placing bets, and now at this point, like leaning over whatever sort of makeshift fence they have for the fight. And he's like, yeah, yeah, like, saying sort of like homeland chants and things of that nature. And I just kind of pat him on the shoulder. Like, I'm not looking for you, buddy. You keep doing your thing. And I feel like Kat Varad would be, I don't know, Jake, what would Kat Varad be doing as I walk by?
Just shaking her head in disbelief. Not sure if she's disgusted or should be impressed.
Yeah. And I can see that shadow wreathed around your shoulder, sort of just like emanating and fluctuating. And I would sort of still be like, nope, not the flavor I'm looking for. And then I would see both Darian and Haroon, and I would sort of gesture with my hands for this guide to sort of speak with them.
Yeah, and this individual, whenever he moves, he almost glides. He's very, very light on his feet, supernaturally so. And he moves his way through the crowd with a practiced kind of ease. And as he does so, he approaches you, Haroon, and he says, "You are a member of the Calendari. You are far from home."
Indeed, I am. And it seems that we are in need of your skills.
See. You need a guide to take you... He kind of leaves it hanging.
To the, what did he call it? The inner...
Yeah, the inland, or to the betrayer.
To the betrayer.
He nods. He says, "You definitely have the look about you of adventurers."
We have been told that you have been there at least once before. Would you be able to go there again?
Indeed, I remember the way, yes, but it is not an easy journey. Are you sure that you and yours are up to the task?
I can assure you that me and mine are battle-tested and proven time and time again, so...
Good. You will need that tenacity and that certainty. The breathless bog and the betrayer will test you. There is no doubt.
And now comes the question, for your services, what is it that you require?
2,000 gold, 2,000 silver, and half up front before we leave. The half remaining we can negotiate when we have returned. If there is treasure to be had, I take 50%.
I will, when it comes to the financials, I will look over to Darian.
You'd be able to see on Darian's face pretty similar to the negotiation, if you can even call it that he had with the ship before, that his tactic is basically just going to be like, yep, whatever you say. Like, that's fine. He's pretty single-minded at this point. So unless you stopped him seeing and knowing that.
Well, I'm just trying to think, are we hurting anywhere in that fund, even with spending the amount for fixing the ship?
So we had 20-something thousand before, and that was still just 11,000. So we still have a lot.
Okay.
So 2,000 and splitting some change would still put us like well over 10K in the bank.
Yeah, I would imagine you guys probably have somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 15,000 left.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, as long as it didn't sound like it was going to completely like deplete our reserves, then I would think it's fine.
Yeah, I don't think our little pretty woman spree in Arinivat cost us very much. 5 outfits and
No, definitely not.
Yeah. So Darian would just kind of step up, seeing that, and just nod and say, "That's fine. We'll pay the fee." Know that it comes with favor from Maz Gadigan as well. It's on a mission for him. You'll earn his favor as part of it.
And Sabanos would say, "Yes, we will pay the fee, but there is one thing, if I may, Darian." And then I would turn to the guide and I would say, "You put a large blank stipulation at the end. You essentially said half of whatever treasure we find. Now, that puts us at a heavy disadvantage because we've never been there and you have. So I would imagine that if you're asking for half of something, you probably have a good idea of what's out there. The money is fair." And I would look at Darian and I would say, "But to offer half of what we don't even know is out there, I don't know if that's something we want to do as a blanket statement. Now, it's certainly not my money. I just wanted to reveal motivations and explain where I think there might be a bit of a conflict of interest. Either way," and I would just kind of turn and do my thing.
Do the rest of you share his cautious nature? I doubt very seriously you will find anyone else here who can take you to the indent. Well, perhaps I have wasted enough of your time. He starts to stand.
Basrad will kind of return to the group at this point. That fight was starting to get boring. Oh, is this the guy?
The guide, see, Farvaccio al Sakara, and he kind of gives this flourished bow, and as he does so, the loose garments around his non-existent form kind of flow and flutter with a non-existent wind.
Basrad was reaching out his hand to like shake this guy's hand, but at that moment he kind of realizes how ether he is, and he kind of draws back a little bit, taken aback by this. What? And kind of realizes that he is like on his way to ascension, and clearly doesn't know how to feel about that. So, have we contracted you to lead us into the Colossiahs then?
Well, that is still to be determined. He kind of looks towards the rest of the group. There seems to be some discrepancy on the matter.
Do we not have enough to pay him? What's the problem?
It seems that he wants a payment up front and then half of any treasures that we find. Sabinos here brought up that we are not sure of whatever treasures are to be found, yet our guide here has been there before and is well aware of what treasures may be there. So has a good indication or an inside view on what treasure is to be gained. Simply has not acquired it because he could not do it himself.
And we can't get there ourselves. He can't get whatever he's looking for himself. Perfect. Bastard just seems kind of like perplexed by why this is a point of contention. Like, all right.
Yeah, and at that point, Sabanos has already he's leaned over like the fight, like shouting, like, "No, higher! Hit higher! I've clearly got a weak spot," Totally just like that was in his head and now it's gone and he doesn't care.
I think given the circumstances, we should make whatever deal that we need to make. There are more important things than money on the line. I'm fine with his terms.
Very well. Then it
Tell me,
seems
you seem like the type that he'll hush into very quiet tones. You're like, would an ether payment perhaps satisfy you more so than money or treasure?
He holds up his hand, and you can see between the wrappings around the still corporal hand that this ghost light kind of shines out from underneath. So it's clear that even the fingers you can see are likely not connected to an entire hand. No, please. I gave up ether usage quite some time ago.
Oh, he'll look very confused at this, like, what? And he'll stop himself just short of asking why he would stop so close, but he'll just bite his tongue.
Okay. So it sounds like an agreement is reached. Everybody's okay with that? Okay. You have made a settlement with this individual, have hired him. He kind of nods with assurance. Good. Make yourselves ready. We should leave as soon as possible.
Aren't we ready to go already?
Is there anything in particular we should bring with us? You're the guide, you know. We have some supplies on our ship that we could bring.
If you are indeed adventurers, then you seem pretty well equipped. You should steel yourselves for what is to come. It is not an easy journey. As I told your friend, you will be tested. Whenever you are ready.
I think we're all in agreement that we're pretty ready to go. I don't think there's anything that we needed to retrieve or anything. So
Okay. You find that Farvazio has a raft that he will basically use to float you up swamp and get you as far as he can by water. You set out into the breathless bog. This swamp fog that I described earlier only seems to thicken the further inland that you go. And it's not long before you begin to see lights out in the surrounding swamp. Hazy, diffused blue light. And you notice that some of them are moving about. Seem to be dancing almost. And before long, you find yourselves spotting forms in the fog. These forms of light. And ahead of you, you can see spirits. Elven ghosts are the source of these lights. floating about aimlessly, not seeming to pay you much mind at all. Parvatio warns you to not upset these ghosts, to not disturb them, that the unrest you could sow here is contagious and will draw more of them the longer it goes on. Sabanus, this raft is passing somewhat close to the left bank, if you want to call it that, these kind of gnarled roots. And several of these ghosts turn their faces somewhat in your direction, and they look familiar to you. People that you know you lost when Belorion crashed. Have you come to save me?
And Sabanos would just not even know what to do for the first time in maybe years. He's speechless.
I am so alone.
And would I recognize exactly who it was? Or is it too vague to tell? Is it a feeling, or is it,
No, I think you probably recognize this individual. And I will leave it up to you as to who this is.
I think that it would probably be one of the only people that I really connected with. But I have a lot of family that I lost. But I think it would be like my housekeeper. The one person who would be patient with me and who would connect with me and who would sort of understood me and knew how to deal with me in a way. So it was a very sort of like grandmotherly figure. And so it's probably the worst person that I could have seen, because of all of the people that I lost, of the, in that tragedy, I lost my brother, my sister, my parents, and even just the people in everyday life that I dealt with, probably rudely and dismissively. But this was probably the one person who, especially as a young child, I connected with. And so hearing that she's lonely would probably break my heart, because I was so lonely when she left and didn't care for me anymore. And she sent me letters and I never answered. And she would come by to visit and I'd always be too busy. And so I think that would really hit a nerve that I wouldn't know how to deal with, frankly.
I'm so lost. Here on my own.
What can I do? How do I help you? What do I do?
You have ether. I can feel it.
Who does? Who has? Give me the ether. Who has the ether? I need the ether. Someone, please. Who has it?
Basterad is completely struck by all of this around him, and he's kind of just in a silent daze. And in that silent daze, he's not really paying attention to the words or the tone in which it's being asked. So he just reaches into his pouch, kind of absentmindedly pulls the small vial of ether that he brought as a bribe for Maz, and just without even looking at him, kind of hands it to Sabanos.
And Jeremy, is ether? Is it only? How is it imbibed? How do you partake of ether? Do you just breathe it in?
So most of the races have different ways of consuming it. The humans typically drink it. They mix it in with alcohol or something else. The elves typically aerosol. They kind of make it into a mist and breathe it in. The dwarves typically smoke it, and the bonekin typically like soak plant material in it and chew it.
Gotcha. So this Bastarod, this vial would be something like very kind of potent because you would soak stuff in it. Is that?
Yeah.
Or was it for a human?
This would be the stuff that we got for.
Right.
I think this is one of the vials we got in the Barter Town originally.
And so this is like refined ether. This is ether that's been processed by the elves, and it is fuel and like very volatile and dangerous. Some people use them as grenade-like weapons. So it's a kind of almost a catch-all.
Sure. And I think that I would take the vial. And again, this, it kind of, Austin, like you say, it's this weird sort of involuntary interaction, I think, for both of us. It's this very sort of almost instinctive pull against the supernatural to just do the things. And so as I'm not even looking at you, as I sort of take it and I unpop the cork and I take a sip absentmindedly, and then I put the cork back in, and then I don't even know. I hold it out. But I definitely do take a sip of this stuff without even really thinking. Especially as a user and as someone who's just, finds solace in that kind of thing. I just like taking a hit off of a, bottle of whiskey before you pass it, or.
And I think as you do so, Father Vazio kind of turns and sees you doing that, and he kind of mutters, "No!" and reaches this kind of wrapped hand towards you as if he's trying to stop you, and you've already like opened it and offered it to this entity.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did it pretty quickly.
From all around you, you hear the moans of sorrow begin to increase. And these lights in the distance begin to close towards your raft. That is where we're going to end our session.
Oh man, that was a really cool.
So,
sorry.
Thank you. No, you're good. Thank you.
Sorry, I got
much.
super high and brought all the ghosts to our boat.
Yeah. Remind me, we can roll for what happens when you drink that, by the way.
Oh yeah, this is the first time
anybody in this campaign has done this. All right. Let's go ahead and do that real quick before we wrap up.
Sure.
All right. We need to establish this at some point. You are supposed to have a stability score, which is equal to 1d4 times the estimated number of times you have indulged with ether.
Oof. I wouldn't know what the actual number would be in terms of like what would be realistic, but it would be something where every couple of months or every 3 months or so, I would probably go on a binge for a week or two and kind of get high and then fall down and get high and then kind of go back to normal living for a few months and then kind of go on a bender. So I would say that probably happened on and off for at least a couple or a few years.
Okay.
So
call it probably
once a quarter. So like
10,
about 12, 10 and 12 times.
Okay, so roll a d4, and then we'll multiply that by 11. We'll just cut the middle.
Jake says, Red Hot Chili Peppers on the fridge starts playing. Okay. Of course, it's a 4. Yeah.
There you go. All right, so your stability score is 44. That's very close to the threshold.
That's very close to dying of an overdose.
All right, let's see here.
Tim is fantasy Anthony Kiedis.
When a character indulges in a dose of ether, they must make several rolls associated with it. Okay, so first you need to roll a d4.
Okay. And another one, or is that?
Yeah. Yep. Add a d4 and add the result of your stability score.
Okay, so I just rolled a 2.
Roll a d4 and add that to your stability score. So
okay,
the
so
2
that would
you
be
just
46.
rolled,
I rolled a
2. 46.
Yep.
And then you need to roll a d6.
Okay. Oh God, a 6. That can't be good.
Okay, so roll again.
Okay. A 5.
Okay, and then one more time.
Okay. A 4.
Okay, so you rolled a 6, which is roll twice on the boons table. These are the boons, so it's okay. Number 4.
Okay.
You feel no pain. You gain a number of temporary hit points equal to half your normal total. At the end of 1 hour, you will lose all remaining temporary hit points. And number 5, you feel the breath of the Colossiahs filling your lungs. You gain 10 feet of movement to your base speed until you finish a short or long rest.
This is the best high I've ever been. Usually I'm like drugged out in a den, but now I'm just basically took steroids.
Thirdly, roll another d6 on the Bane's roll table.
Oh, there it goes. 2.
Your skin becomes very pale, taking on a green, blue, or grayish tint.
I would definitely say gray.
There you go. So it's kind of ashen color. Okay, so mark down those things. I'll get with you if you need a refresher on what they were after the game.
Sure. Yep, I'm just going to make a couple notes.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I forget, can someone remind me that I have them in my notes in D&D Beyond, please?
Perfect. Okay, so we've taken care of that. So thank you everyone who has tuned in this evening to watch this session of Whispers and Fragments. It has been fantastic, as always. You guys just take everything that I throw at you, and you not only run with it, but you also meld it and shape it into something fantastic, which continues to help shape this world into something better and better every single time that we play in it. So thank you so much. If you have watched this evening or you're watching in the future, I really do appreciate that very much. Wash your hands. Please wash your hands. If you can stay home, stay home. Watch more games. There's a lot of them on this channel. You can subscribe, you can like, and check out the rest of this campaign or the other 3 or 4 campaigns that I've got here, as well as many other one-shots and videos where I talk about RPGs. So I'm going to pass things over to my fantastic players so that they can do their outros, plug anything that they would like to once again, tell you how much they love you and appreciate you, and then we'll put a bow on it and call it an evening. So, first up, we have Austin.
As always, it was a pleasure to play with all of you gentlemen. And Tim, I'm so excited to have you here, and I love the energy that you brought to this session. I think it's going to be super fun to have you here. It's going to be nice to have like a little bit of levity in there every once in a while too. So I think it's nice to like get to actually laugh in one of these games. Like these games are funny every once in a while, but they get heavy. So it's nice that we're going to have like, I feel like you bring a great balance to this, so I'm excited for it. I just can't wait to play again next month. Like Jeremy said, stay the F indoors and like wash your hands a lot and stay away from people. good time to do that. I'm not trying to typecast him as comic relief. I'm just saying that he brought a great energy to this session, and I enjoyed it. The chat stuff. But anyway,
that was me getting thrown under the bus.
I didn't say a name.
That was me throwing myself under the bus.
I maybe started a bus and started moving it down the street, but you just jumped right in front of it. But in any case, pleasure playing with you, gents, and I'll shut up now.
Wonderful as always, Austin. Thank you so much, man, for coming in and playing. Just bringing so much. I think the thing that strikes me the most about Bostrod is his struggle to maintain his humanity. And I think it's a really, really neat thing to watch you play. It's always just such a joy, man. So thank you.
It's fun to be playing my first character who's not always trying to be a peacemaker and a diplomat, and whose first instinct sometimes is just punching a problem in the face until it goes away.
Those are fun characters to play, and it's needed sometimes.
I always want to stop the fighting, so it's nice to not be doing that for once.
Excellent. Next, we have Jake.
So I didn't say this at the beginning, but I'm going to say it now, and this does not count if you're playing in the future unless it's sometime before the middle of April. If you go to my Twitter right now at MTD_Jake, there is a link in which there's information about an upcoming charity stream that we are doing. Jeremy will be a part of it. Many others are going to be a part of it. But right now, there is an auction that is open, and you can bid on a seat to play in a game dungeon mastered by Chris Perkins of D&D fame, B. Dave Walters, Stefan Picorni, the owner and founder of Dwarven Forge, is running a game of AD&D, second edition. Kaylee Bray, an actress from LA, it runs a game notoriously with Disney princesses playing Dungeons and Dragons. She hosted this game last year on the channel. It was fantastic. Sean Merwin, a D&D author. And if you don't bid on that, just tune in May 3rd through the 7th for 60 hours, noon to midnight, for 5 days straight of nonstop live stream D&D games, all with the goal of raising money to support Jasper's Game Day, a charity that I have partnered with for well over a year that dedicates itself to raising awareness and elimination of suicide through tabletop gaming.
Yeah, man, it's amazing that you are doing that, and at some level kind of heading that and making that a thing. I know that is a very important cause for you. It's something that you mention all the time, every session on our Dawnbringers campaign, and I think it's fantastic that you're going above and beyond what you normally even do to host this event. And I am so hoping that I'm able to actually run a game for it this year. I was able to do so last year, and I had a fantastic time, and I would really love to be able to do so again this year, especially because, I mean, if I get to game and help a cause, that's why would I not do that?
And the Dawnbringers game is the final flagship live stream of the charity event. So even if you don't get to DM a game, you will be playing in the game.
Fantastic. That's awesome to hear. All right. Also, on the front of Mini Terrain Domain, we are running a game tomorrow night of Harbinger, put together by AbTab. It is in the playtest. It will take place in the setting that I designed for Harbinger, called Chrome City, which is kind of a cyberpunk noir, Blade Runner meets Judge Dredd meets Altered Carbon kind of setting. And I'm running it for the Dawnbringers crew. And I'm very excited to do that. I haven't had a chance to run a game for most of those people yet, and I am chomping at the bit to do so. All right, next up we have Alan.
Don't really have anything additional to plug, so I'll just say thank you guys for taking the time to just get together, roll some dice, role play, cut up, and just kind of socialize for the last couple hours here. It's sometimes we just take the little things for granted, and then you realize how important they are when you don't have access to it anymore. So, everybody's already said to do this stuff, but I just hope that everybody out there, that you're safe, that you're healthy, and that your loved ones are okay. And then if you are taking the time to game with your friends and chat with them online, just let them know that you appreciate them taking the time and to spend with you, and we'll get through this and it'll pass. So that's it for me.
You're here, man. That's a fantastic sentiment. I think we take for granted, like you said, the fact that we get to do this, that we have the capability and the privilege to not only game with potential home groups that some of us may have. In my case, I'm not able to do that currently, and it's taking its toll on me. And having online gaming to be able to still get together with some people and game has been a lifesaver for my sanity. And I'm sure that is not an uncommon situation that a lot of people have found themselves in. So, yes, just like you should on a normal basis, let the people around you know how much you care for them, how much you love them, how much you appreciate them. Just like I love the 5 of you. And any of you who are out there watching the game as well. So absolutely, please stay safe, stay healthy, stay home, wash your hands, and let the people around you know that they mean something to you, because you never know what tomorrow brings. All right, next up we have Jeff.
Yeah, tough to follow up all those wonderful sentiments. But yeah, I'll second everything there. Great to have this game. It's been, I'm sure for me, just as much as everyone else, a crazy week. So having this as a bit of relief from the day-to-day was very much welcome and needed. I'm very thankful to have you guys as well to be able to do this. And again, welcome Tim to the game. You've now gotten a taste for the pain train that just keeps on rolling into the station every time. So get used to it. Super good to have Tim along. Definitely a changing dynamic from Lloyd to Tim, but not in a bad way, just a different and interesting way. It's a super interesting character, and looking forward to seeing how much worse he makes our lives, because he's off to a really good start.
Yeah, absolutely. As soon as I decided to put him into an interesting, compromising situation to enter the game into, after especially the kind of character he told me he was going to play, I figured that it would be an explosive entrance, and I certainly was not disappointed. So, yeah, speaking of not disappointed and explosive entrances, Tim.
Well, and this has been amazing. And the thing I was wanting to say too is that it's certainly, at least in my opinion, it's funny when it's funny, but I'm not taking the game as a joke. And I think that, and I mean that in a way that is, how do I put it? I think when this character, I'm going to play this character out, and I think that there's going to be a time when there's going to be a sociopathic moment that doesn't have small social impact and isn't just humorous. And I think that's when it's going to be crazy, when I don't care about someone dying, or when I kind of am just, indifferent about things that maybe would seem horrific. And so I think that's where the character is going to find its weird kind of dark tone, is in those moments. And so I'm going to try to play it that way. And I think that you guys are on that level. And even when Jeff, he put in there, he's like, no, come on, bring the pain train. That's what he said in the chat. And I was like, okay, because I'll never act foolishly to be funny, but I'm trying to think of how this person would interact just being a high functioning sociopath. And so I think that could get us into some difficult situations. And I've also decided that even if it gets me killed 2 sessions in, it's not my intent, but I'm not going to downplay that. I'm going to do what I would do. And I know, Jeremy, you would do, in terms of a DM, you would make sure the consequences matched. So if I get, tied to a post to be a sacrifice, think of what I can do when I'm in the driver's seat. So I'm just really looking forward to how this character plays in and seeing how it dynamically it's funny in some cases, but I think in other cases can be very dangerous. But anyway, it's an honor to be a part of this game. And it was just, Jeremy, the way that you game master is so perfectly balanced because of like what you prepare, but also what you improv or let us improv. It's a really good balance for my play taste. And you're always so open to ideas, but you also, I never get the sense that you don't have control of the game, which is a really good feeling as a player. Like you always seem to have an idea of what the world is doing, but you never impose that on us. And that's a really neat thing. And for all you guys, just the characters, they felt so real. It felt so like Jake, that moment with Kat Varad, like standing up to Sabanos. That was such a neat moment. And so anyway, just everybody, it was really fun. And I am just getting started, and I can't tell you how happy I am to just be playing some D&D again in a campaign. So thank you guys.
It is definitely our pleasure to have you along, man. This is a game that is very near and dear, at least to my heart, and I think that the rest of the players feel the same. And yeah, like I said, losing Lloyd as a player and Ingvarad as a character that's a big shoe to fill, for sure. And I think you've done so wonderfully by stepping outside of the shoe entirely and making your own shoe. The analogy's getting away from me, but you get what I'm saying. But yeah,
More of a boot?
Maybe a boot, yeah. It might have some shit in it at this point. You're muted.
It wasn't worth unmuting.
I was gonna say,
no, sorry. I was just saying, like, yep, sounds about right.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I think this is going to shape into a really interesting dynamic amongst the group, having Sabanos kind of join us. And I'm excited to see where this goes next. I mean, I know what I have planned, but you guys always end up adding so much to it that it makes it refreshing to get the chance to sit down and see you guys do it, work your magic. So I think that about does it for us. Once again, if you've watched, thank you so much, and we will see you soon. Until then, may your dice roll high and your snacks always be within reach.